to the sudden but inevitable rewatch. I am Vanilla Husband, aka Captain Bootscoot, aka your host, Jesse. Thank you so much for joining us for the finale of season 1 of the sudden but inevitable rewatch. Before I say hello to all the wonderful people in the chat, of course, I have to say hello to my friend Ricky D from Best Flicks with Ricky D. Ricky D from Best Flicks with Ricky D. How are you doing this week, my friend?
I am doing very good. It's been another week, made it through. Here for the best part of the week, but a little nervous about the following week. So I am ready for Cowboy Bebop, if you can see my hat. But it's a little sad leaving this whole world behind for a little while, like we're going to.
It is a little sad, but I don't think we could properly really discuss how we're all feeling about that. Unless, of course, we were to introduce our two Firefly first timers, the head of the Twist My Arm network, Josh, and his co life host, Kylie. Welcome, welcome, Josh and Kylie.
Hi.
Hi.
Uh, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just glad that you're here, but how are you doing?
Good.
Hanging in there. Yeah. Lots of emotions.
How long
Yeah.
ago did you watch the movie?
I don't know, 20 minutes ago? We just finished?
So it's
Yeah.
pretty fresh.
Yeah.
That's a
Quite
fresh
fresh.
wound.
Yes.
So right
Soon it'll get
now, though,
infected and it'll start festering.
now
Great.
you guys really have the whole Firefly fan experience, which ends this way. So, I mean, really, Josh and Kylie, this is you guys' week. Like this is the time. You know, you're gonna be shining this week because the fresh hell that you guys are sitting in now is the hell that all the other brown coats have been living for the last 20 years, basically. So, before we jump into the episode of Sudden But Inevitable Rewatch, give me a, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling as far as, are you okay? 1 being, I kind of want to die. 10 being, this is the best day of my life.
Oh man. Um
-3.
no. I gotta say somewhere in the middle. Like I've got all these emotions roller coastering all over the place, and some are really good, some are really bad. I had like a, bullet point list of things that I wanted to see, and like there was some things that happened, some things I got to, scratch off of that list. But then there was things that I did not anticipate, and that's kind of where I am right now.
This is a spoiler podcast, right?
Oh, always.
Okay. Well, I mean, this movie, Matthew McConaughey was awesome, and Anne Hathaway did a fantastic job as McConaughey's side.
Yep.
That's the Serenity we're watching, right?
What did you think of the
the-
songs?
Man, I don't know how I feel really. There's a lot going on. It's, to be honest with you, like, and I'm not trying to be like a downer, but I'm kind of glad it's over because I finally know everything that happened and I know what's going on. I'm sad that there's, not much more to talk about aside from maybe a bonus rewatch where we watch it in Fox order. But I mean,
It would go faster because there wouldn't be some episodes in it.
right. I mean, yeah, I think honestly, I'm probably at about a 4.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I'm not upset that it's over. I'm upset at the way that it ended.
Yep.
And not even because of, like, now we'll get into it for sure. But yeah, I'm a 4.
Okay. We will get into it. He's not lying. But before we get into it, let's take this moment to say hello and thank you to all the wonderful people in our live chat right now. So we're going to start with Callie D. Welcome and hello, Callie D. Then we're going to go to Rona, Callie D's mother. Hello, Rona. They watched with their whole family today in different locations all over the world. They watched the movie at the same time together with their family so that they could come and join us and watch this with us. So that's,
So
I
cool.
mean, you guys know me, and it's there's a card, there's a check mark on Callie's card for me crying. So get ready, Kelly. We'd also love to say hello to Shepard Saxon. Thank you so much for being here, Shepard Saxon. If you've ever listened to the sudden but inevitable Rewatch before, you know that Shepard Saxon is not only the source of our very cool Serenity movie premiere exclusive swag, but the direct main line to the bridge crew of Serenity. Saxon hooked up our interview with Adam Baldwin. If you haven't heard our interview with Adam Baldwin, I'm not going to say stop watching and go listen, but listen immediately when this is over because it was a blast.
We
And
interviewed
we,
Adam Baldwin.
yeah, and
Amazing.
we would not have had that opportunity without Shepard Saxon. So thank you, Shepard Saxon. We'll never be able to say thank you enough, but we'll go by saying thank you every time we see your name anyway. How about that? So, beyond that, I did see Max in the chat. That is actually my younger brother. Welcome, younger brother. Thank you for being here. I am also seeing, speaking of family members, Jessie, which is Shepard Saxon's daughter, watch me watch stuff in the chat. And I just, you guys, to have this many family members around us, like, sharing their family time with us is, I think, probably my favorite part of doing this show. Um, it's just it's like it increases the circle of our family ever wider, and it's kind of one of my favorite things. So it sounds like Rona did try to persuade her son to come along this morning, but he's her, and I guess that's okay. um to put that into context, what is it there, like 6 a.m., Rona? Because I know it's like 4 a.m. where Callie is, so I don't remember what time it is where you are, but I hope that you're not
Some
calling it a slack
people's
for not
kids.
waking up at 2 in the morning.
I wouldn't get up at 6 a.m. to watch me.
Me either. I don't
Me
even get
either.
up at 6 a.m. on days that I'm supposed to. So
That's
before
like
we
my
go,
normal wake up time.
that's my point. Is it's supposed to be my normal wake up time too, but it generally isn't. Oh, and hello to Kay Liz. Kay Liz is Callie D's sister, so we have a very big piece of Callie D's family here with us, and this show simply wouldn't be what it is without Callie D's clan. You guys, they're supportive and effusive in their praise and their love and the way they share our links and stuff, and it's probably the coolest part of this whole thing for me is just to see, not specifically only from them, but from everybody, just to see the way that we've been embraced by the brown coat community. So before we go any further, Josh, Kylie, and Ricky D, do you guys have anybody you'd like to thank or say hello to, or any general sentiments that aren't sad that you would like to get out of the way?
I just
You know,
appreciate everybody being here in the chat, uh, helping us with our Adam Baldwin interview. I just appreciate all of our brown coat family. So thank you guys.
I just since this is the last kind of wrap up episode, just kind of want to do another shout out to my friend Dustin, very generic name, who really kind of tried to get me into Firefly a very long time ago, and now I feel like dumb and regretful and all sorts of different emotions. So just a shout out to him, I mean, and everybody who's made me love Firefly. I'm not just a fan now, I'm like a super fan. So now I know
Very
everything,
cool.
the ins and outs. It's kind of cool. So
Yeah, and I would echo that, but the guy that tried to get me to watch Firefly was Jesse. So I would like to give Jesse a shout out for bringing us along this adventure.
It only took a whole podcast, but yeah.
Yeah, it's I know you told me all the time. Hey man, you looking for something to watch? Watch Firefly.
yeah,
Mm.
never did. But man, you win this one, Jesse.
Yeah, you win this round.
Well, I would like to say on behalf of the people that have seen Firefly before and know the pain you are feeling, welcome, and we're happy to have you guys. We're glad to bring you into the circle of heartfelt, passionate longing and despair, and all of the positive and negative things that go hand in hand with this show. I mean, we talked a lot about those positives and negatives over the course of the show, but I feel like the movie really puts kind of an exclamation point on that. Um, so I was thinking this week that what we should do is instead of doing a synopsis, we should probably just let Josh and Kylie lead us through at their pace. But if you guys have anything else you'd like to get out of the way before we jump in, I think this is probably the time to do it.
Oh man, no.
No, we got plenty of plugs for later.
Yeah.
sure.
So
Oh,
excited.
Just check out the website. If you guys are only going to be in here for a little bit and not watch the whole show, go to twistmyarmpodcast.com and all the plugs will be there.
As will the
But
show.
that's all I
you
got.
You can watch the stream there. You can watch videos.
Yeah.
You can listen to the old episodes. Everything is all in one place.
Yeah.
You can watch them again and again and again.
Yeah, if you go to actually twistmyarmpodcast.com/live stream, this stream will be on there. What?
Ooh,
What we're moving on up in the world.
2021, you guys.
Yeah.
Ricky D from
Um,
Netflix. Ricky D, do
but
you have
yeah,
any
nothing.
corrections or anything or any?
I'd like to correct Adam Baldwin from last week on a number of issues.
Oh yes, please.
I'm
please.
Go
no,
on.
I'm fine.
Goodness.
I'm joking.
Oh, I was like, oh, jeez.
Hopefully he's listening right now. He's
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? Who is this kid?
Oh, goodness.
I would like to shout out Adam Baldwin, though. I didn't pay attention to Jane more in any other episode than I did
Yeah.
in the movie.
I was like, oh my God,
Yes.
that's my best friend,
Yeah,
Adam.
Right? I was
the whole
watching
point.
all the special features and everything, and I was just
Yeah.
deadlocked onto Jane. Like, yeah, that's my bud.
And, like,
I know
was it
exactly
weird?
what he's like.
Was it weird hearing his voice in the show after we had just had a conversation with him?
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of weird to hear his voice in the
So,
movie.
I'm gonna jump slightly ahead, but one of the notes that I made when Adam Baldwin's credit came up on the screen was, "I know that guy."
That guy.
Oh, AB? Yeah. Oh, AB. He's tight.
I've met him. I know him.
We were just chilling, the other week, dude. He's cool.
He was on my podcast with me and my friends, and it was insane. So that's so that being the one note that I feel like I could probably just insert anywhere. I feel like so normally what I do is I kind of I throw it to Ricky D and he guides us through the synopsis, but I'm just gonna start with a question this time directed straight to you, Josh and Kylie. Okay.
Okay.
I feel about the movie version of the opening narration.
I liked the way they transitioned into it being a story about it's like schooling, it's like doing history, like history class for River and her obnoxious little friend that was like, oh yeah, the Reavers, oh yeah, they're all about killing and raping and all that stuff. Like he was all into it.
Yep.
That little kid was creepy. But
For me,
I did like I did like how it kind of zoomed in. This was it was Joss Whedon's first directorial movie, I guess. It was the first movie he ever made. So I did like seeing the experimental Joss Whedon in a movie because a lot of the shots that are coming in and a lot of the in and out shots that we see in this, I feel like are used later on in his movies, but it was pretty abundant in this, what he was trying to do with like all the camera work and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like the narration, they like kind of zoomed in or like came down into the planet where the lady was talking, and maybe I'm remembering that wrong.
No,
But
No, they started out with like a double fake out kind of thing.
Mhm.
They
Like,
started
they-
out with all the kids learning and talking, and that kind of faded out into River and Simon, and then we faded out again to the operative, and he was watching a video.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all kind of bizarre. I do remember noting first thing that Simon looked like a really good bad guy.
Yeah.
His hair was done and his uniform was on point, and I was just like, oh my god, is that Simon? I mean, I know that's Simon, but is that Simon? What's happening right here?
So
At first, I
different.
thought he was working on his sister too. Like I thought he
I
was
yeah.
also a mad scientist.
All these things happening through my mind, but I guess one of the another thing that I noticed is like but the colors were different
Mm.
from the shots as opposed
Yeah.
to the darker grayness of the episodes of the
So
season. So
I immediately noticed that, and it called me back to Ariel, right? Because like everything was kind of blue and white and very harsh. If you have not played Sudden But Inevitable Bingo, you should go to Twitter and follow Callie D and get your Sudden But Inevitable Bingo card because it is great fun and it is a companion to the companion to the show. So it's
I am
a
dying to know
definitely.
more about this
Well, if
because I
only you
am
had a
reading the
Twitter
comments.
account. Oh, wait a
Let's
minute.
hop on
You
Twitter.
do have a Twitter account at Miss
I
Myon's
do,
Nest.
but I'm struggling with the
She's learning. She's learning.
Oh,
Two
that
things,
did-
you guys. Very good point about the lighting, Kylie. But two things. Josh, the kid that you were mentioning that was very annoying, I could only see him as the kid that was messing with Grogu in the school in Mandalorian, wouldn't give him the cookies. I was like, this
Oh,
kid is the same kid. Like, I
yeah.
hope that I was kind of hoping that he would get choked a little bit like that kid did. But the other thing that
It's
I
funny.
that I
That's funny. That's yeah. Okay.
it just immediately I was like, oh, it's the same kid. Like, but the other thing that I was wondering was, did you feel like it was cheap, the exposition of just going, here's what happened in the future and this, that, and the other thing. But it sounds like you like the framing device of that, which I appreciate because I do too. The other thing though, there's a slight inconsistency here in the character, you think, because Simon goes into this room and reads the heck out of it. He's like, I know exactly how to pretend to be what I'm not, and I know exactly how to speak.
Yeah.
But then I thought to myself, it's a medical setting. Of course, he would know how to be
Mhm.
deceptive in a medical setting. He
Mm.
still has all the jargon that he can rely on and stay comfortable
Yep.
with, and that's why he was able to. But man, that was pretty early superhero move, right? With the staff into the ground, like he had the drama
Yeah.
of that movement down. It was very like area of effect spell in a video game style movement, and I wrote the first cool thing Simon gets to do is in the movie. Like that's rough for Simon's character, but cool for us because we got to see it, I guess. What did you guys think about that escape? Or, the pieces of it that we saw?
I was very impressed with Simon, I gotta say. I guess I wasn't surprised because I feel like in a life or death kind of situation, like this was probably the most important moment of his entire life. Like he was not gonna screw that up. So I was again just kind of impressed with how he pulled it off. Don't know if I really saw that in him. But now that I see it, it kind of makes sense, kind of thing. But it was good.
Yeah, it was interesting. I feel like the movie kind of banked on people not watching the series. The movie was
Yeah.
like
Well, that's why
it was
they
like,
canceled it.
oh, you didn't watch the series? Oh, so you don't know how big of a bitch Simon is? All right, cool. We'll make him a badass in this first scene here. And then like even continuing that, aside from the epic breakout scene and seeing the cool like computer security footage that oh my goodness,
The operative.
the operative, yeah, I have another name for him though. It is Baron Mordo.
Yep.
That's the actor's name in Doctor Strange.
It's Chihuahua for.
Yeah, but Baron here is watching this cool security footage. Once we get to the actual Firefly, once we get to Serenity and start doing the camera movement through the ship, which I thought was also awesome because we got
That
to
was
see
a great shot.
We got to see a full version of the ship, like see it from the the hull all the way down to the engine room, down to
And it was like
storage, like,
one-
we got to see everything.
About
Oh.
turn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was one long tracking shot too.
yeah.
That was one of the
Yep.
great things is that it just I think it took an entire day to film just that like 4-minute segment. But
I bet.
I mean they had to get everything perfect.
Yeah. But just this whole intro, it just seemed like the characters that we've watched for the last 14 episodes were not the same characters in the beginning of this.
Yeah.
To me,
It's like
that's kind of
reset.
he
It's like they reset the
good call, Callie.
development. Like they
It's one of my
took
favorite movies, Callie, by
everybody.
the way.
It's like they reset everybody's character development back to the first episode because they were assuming nobody had watched, which, to be fair, the numbers told them nobody had watched. But I did notice that immediately, like, since doing that, like the rewatch where we go through it with a microscope, it felt immediately like a lot of restacking stuff for us, right? Like, okay, this
Yep.
is her brother. He said, "Remember, I'm your brother." Like, and we know that he's doing that for a reason. But if you're coming in cold, it's like, wow, this is not good dialogue. Like, this is pretty on the freaking nose, and like a lot of telling without showing, you know. But like, I think it sits in that gray space because they knew there would be people that were familiar with the characters, like everyone in our chat. For example, Jesse and Susie have been inside that ship. How freaking cool is that? Like,
Something funny,
so
Kylie.
Just reading the comments.
What's up with that? Chuckles. Because Love Actually is one of my favorite
Yeah,
movies.
I just think it's funny that everybody knows how sweet and emotional
Effeminate?
you are.
yeah, I was gonna say sweet and emotional is the very nice way to say that. You could hear her picking those words. She's like, he's such a
Girly.
sweet and emotional. She was like, it was right there. It's like her face was like, should I? No, I shouldn't. Like,
He reminds me of a prepubescent boy.
You can't, and I
Is that
can't
why
even
you
deny it.
like
I
him
was
so
watching.
much,
I was
Ricky?
watching. Oh, I was watching Star Wars Rebels last night and crying a little bit. So like, all right, I get it. I'm an
Shepherd Rosie,
empath. I suck in
Shepherd Rosie made
emotions.
it, you guys. And you would, Josh,
Yay!
you'd be on the bridge of the Enterprise going, I can't read him. I don't know. So, um, we have to say we are very happy that Rosie is here. Rosie is another one of our shepherds of shine. She has been kind of our fiercest warrior on the front lines from day one. You guys, she's like,
Yeah, I
so
had
if
something
you're-
for this. Rosie.
if you're on Twitter and you ask for podcast recommendations, then you know Rosie, because Rosie is on that and she's recommending us. And it's like, it's the coolest thing ever, you guys. Like, half my tags are Rosie going, "You should really listen to Sudden But Inevitable," because it's great. And I again, thank you everybody in the chat. Each and every one of you has done something amazing and special and personally touching to us. So thank you all again for being here. And I am so excited to have most of our shepherds in one place, you guys. It's almost like a little shepherd con. But back to the movie Serenity
Yeah.
that we were watching. So how did you guys feel about that title reveal, though? Did you like? I really appreciated that, to have them show Serenity and then have it pull back, and that's because it's painted on the hull,
On the
like,
ship,
by
yeah.
hand. Like, I loved that moment. Like,
If we're gonna talk about like logo reveals, how about the beginning when it did the Universal Studios in front of planet Earth, and then it like zoomed past where it said
Yeah.
Universal Studios and it went down on the planet? That was awesome too.
yeah,
That has to be one of the kind of first times that they did that, because you don't see that very much in the older movies.
did they do that
Whereas
in
in the newer
Armageddon?
movies, I don't know. I'd have to go watch it again and
Is that
cry.
a Universal movie? That movie shouldn't make you cry, Josh. That movie sucks.
What? Oh gosh, I cry at that one.
All right, fine.
Well, he does cry at like everything, but I cry at that one too. So
I'm the guy that cries at Sarah McLachlan commercials. That's why I have to change the channel every time.
In the arms of an angel.
I do gotta say, at this one, I think I cried more at this movie than Josh.
I didn't
did.
cry once
Oh, I
in this movie. I
just
was
cried.
fueled with anger and rage by
I
the end
cried.
of this movie.
Blow
So
through you.
yeah.
Well,
But no,
actually-
the walk through the entire ship is one of my favorite scenes of the whole thing. But my next thing in my notes is, so like, did Mal forget the entire season they went through with Simon? Why is he so sour? Like, he was so sour towards Simon.
It was weird. I would like the first couple minutes of the movie. It was like they had no idea who each other were,
Right.
and then like you get 20 minutes into the movie, and then it's like
And there's
we're all best friends now.
one piece of dialogue where it's like, you've been on the ship for 8 months and blah blah blah. and then they
It's
zip right
shift.
past it.
Yeah,
Like
it was bizarre.
you're like, wait. So to someone
So
that's new to this, you think, oh, they just met, they just escaped and got onto Mal's ship, but then all of a sudden Mal's like, yeah, you've been with us for 8 months.
Yeah.
but if you look at it as the context of the situation, right? Mal is going because they're stacking the whole thing for us, like I said, right? He's going, "Hey, you've been here, you've been patching people up. That's great. I really appreciate that." And he's like, "Yeah, and the stuff that I fix is where you want to take my sister." So really, it's just them giving us a this is the only time Simon puts his foot down moment, right? Like this is
And
when
maybe it
Simon
was
is assertive, is when his sister is in danger or he thinks she's in danger. That's when Simon is assertive.
more of Simon's acting, whoever that actor is, because I feel like he was a little different in this compared to the show, like a little bit better of an
Yeah.
actor than he was. I mean, this was 3 years after Firefly had ended, which would probably be 4 years after filming, which gives him plenty of time to do other projects and bolster his acting knowledge.
Acting.
Nis.
But I just feel like I don't know. He was just he was a little different at first. I mean, obviously, everything comes back, and you kind of, except for Shepard, he was skinny AF, but everything kind of comes back around, and the crew kind of likes each other.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
It didn't have the same feeling as the series, I guess, as far
right.
as like a family aspect. It didn't have that same kind of thing.
Because well, and those two characters are the newest members of the family, right? Even in the series. But I think it is specifically to show you like this is Mal's family. And now, even if Mal considers them family, right, which he doesn't, but even if those of us who've watched the show know that he does, that doesn't necessarily mean that Simon and River consider them family, or that Simon feels comfortable with being them family, right? So, but the
Sure.
weird thing is they kind of play both sides of it because they also, I feel like Simon wouldn't stand up that staunchly to Mal unless he were a little more comfortable with him. Like, so at this point, now we know, okay, Simon has seen him not kill Jane for betraying them. We've seen him, try to do right all the time. So Simon knows well enough that if he tells Mal, I'm putting my foot down, Mal's not going to kill him. Mal will threaten to kill him, but he's pretty comfortable thinking, Mal's not going to kill me. But he also forgot that if you threaten Mal's command of the ship, then that's a problem. And I feel like what you guys are feeling is, or what you're feeling, Josh, is that didn't Simon already learn this lesson? Why are we feeling this again? But I think it is because of the reading. Like they have to show everybody that didn't watch the series in a row for a podcast. Okay, here's who they are. Here's what they're doing. This, that, and the other thing. So
Yeah.
I definitely see where you're coming from. My guess is that it was like an attempt to cram a lot of development into not very much time. Because the movie, I mean, it kind of paces that way, right? Like the first half is a lot of exposition and learning and setup, and then of course the second act is much more, action oriented. So it's like, if you were to break it in half, you would go learning here and doing stuff here, basically. So
And yeah,
it
and
is a weird thing to have to like relearn, quote unquote, all that stuff because it's like, dude, we know all that stuff. Like, just
right.
give it to us. Like, just go.
And
Go
and
to
I
the
got to
movie.
remember too that this was again 3 years after the series ended, so it's probably another refresher for people that had watched the series once. Was it 4 years?
It's 3 or 4.
Yeah, but either way, it could be a refresher for people that hadn't had access to the series or something. But even like Simon and Kaylee's dynamic at the very beginning was a little like, I mean, of course, by the end of the last episode, they weren't like all smiles and roses or anything, but in this one, it was more like when I mean, in my note, it says, "Whoa, why Kaylee, Simon, what?" Like it just seemed like such a forced Kaylee has a crush on Simon and Simon doesn't know it kind of thing. When in actuality, they made out in a freaking bar
The
4 episodes ago, and like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that line of "not that you would spit," and then like the very
Yeah.
clumsy like flute, like da 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 da, like that was poorly I'm gonna just say that was poorly done. Like it was very heavy-handed and ham-fisted for kind of no reason. Like
It
Jewel
kind of
Staite
felt
just
like they were trying to shove the entire Shindig episode into one line.
yeah, and Jewel Staite is a good actress that she could just convey that without having to say, "Also, I secretly like you." Like it would have been fine if she just looked at him. We didn't need the flutes even. She was good
Yeah.
enough. So yeah, it was one of those things. Rosie says Firefly aired in 2002, Serenity filmed June to August of
So yeah,
2004, but didn't release in 2006, Rosie? Or was
I
it
thought
2005?
two-
It's 2005
2005
according to yeah,
IMDb.
There we go.
Earthing.
2005. So 3 years.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just
It's
like
enough time to
but yeah,
forget a
so
series, especially with all the Fox series that got canceled within those 3 years.
well it makes you wonder like I mean, I guess it doesn't make you wonder because we know the answer to it. Like were most of the people that saw this movie already Firefly fans? Probably, yeah. Like, I really
Yeah.
doubt this movie brought in a ton of new people to the series, but I have heard from a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I saw the movie first and then watched the series." But that doesn't mean that they went to the theater because they're like, "There's some movie called Serenity that I want to see." It just means they saw Serenity at some point in their life and were like, oh, "I wish there was more of that." And somebody went, "Well," so
You're
but
in luck.
the whole clumsy, walk us back through the development thing aside, I do feel like they go pretty quickly from that to giving the fans that have already seen it their like snippets, right? Like, okay, here's your moment of Jane, here's your moment of the Doctor, here's your moment of River. Like,
Right.
they're still the same characters, everything's fine. We just had to tell that for the new people. Like the movie almost tells you in itself, like, hey, this is just for the new people. Okay, now everybody's up to speed enough. Let's do the part for the rest of you.
Right. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Also like I don't know. So we go from the intro, obviously on the ship, and they get what the weird job where they're going to rob the people, right?
Everybody that's in church.
Is that
Well,
yeah?
they're
And
robbing the like bank that deals with the Alliance Bank or something, so that it's like
Mhm.
okay,
we're stealing money from somebody who's supposed to be hoarding other people's money or something. It wasn't stealing from those people, which is why the guy let him in. He was like, "Dude, brown coats, yes."
right. But this is I wrote in my notes. Okay, so River just knows how to psychic now. Like I don't remember
She's
having
a
those
reader.
abilities by episode 14 of Firefly, the television series
I
that
don't
aired in
know. I feel like
2002.
they totally alluded to that.
Yeah, they
But not to
did.
that
Alluded to it, but
extent.
she wasn't a master of her
Yeah.
abilities by any means at that point.
Sure.
Oh, for
Sure.
sure, yeah.
I
But
don't know.
I
I
mean,
feel like things escalated pretty quickly throughout the series, though, too.
well,
Things could
right.
have
So,
continued to escalate quickly.
so
You're
I
right.
think
You're
that
right.
I think it's for me. I think it's kind of implied that when the operative activated her, he kind of increased her like he unlocked another tier of control in her, right? Like because before she was never fully either son. She was never ever fully River or fully like crazy River, right? Because she was always back and forth and it was moment to moment and you could never tell and you couldn't count on it. And that's why they're nervous when they bring her with because they're like, we don't know if we can count on this. But then she crushes it and they're like, oh, that was new. Like,
Yeah.
and they, but they'd had several moments. I mean, they had the guy call her a witch. He said she reads minds, and so Simon knows that she can do that. Like Jane knows she can do that because she did it to him on Ariel. She did it to him again later when she was saying, basically that's how Simon knows that Jane betrayed them is because River told him, and
Yeah.
she knows.
I guess maybe
She knows.
she's just making it more apparent. And I'd like to refer to her as Normal River and Raging River if we could, please.
Nice.
We can do
See,
that.
I was thinking I like to call crazy River Miranda.
Oh, I like
'Cause
to
they
call her
kinda-
the I like to call her the River Soldier, but it doesn't quite rhyme with
Oh,
winter.
yeah, true.
It's funny because I did write some sort of Winter Soldier note down here
You wrote
at some point in
17
time.
Sunset. Dusk,
MK Ultra is not a
electromagnetic.
new
Homecoming.
topic.
Yeah.
New
I can
theory.
only remember this too. But yeah, so
I was gonna go look that up and just read all those lines, but
yeah,
you know.
you're right, Kylie. She got Manchurian candidated. She got
Candidated.
Manchurianized. Anyways,
Manchurianized. I like that.
she but I feel like in the show, right? The show would go, "Hey, let's drag out what she's capable of until like a huge like cliffhanger season ender episode, and then we'll have her like melt somebody's brain, right?" And then they were like, "Oh, we can't do that, and this is probably the last shot we have at it, so F it, like go." But I feel like he unlocked another tier of what she was capable of on accident when he unlocked her memory of Miranda, because her first flashback, right, was to the school.
Okay.
So it's like, why is River having a sudden, very clear flashback to the school? All we've seen up to this point is like her being kind of afraid of doctors and like closed spaces. We've never seen her talk about like being at school or the other kids just laying down, like none of that stuff, right? Because again, she wasn't there for that. Like,
And I think I've got some more evidence for you, because in that first bank heist, she was really just a warning system. But later on, when she saw that commercial, that's when she got her
yeah.
killer ninja moves. So I
So
think
she
you're
got
onto
Winter
something.
Soldiered, River Soldiered.
River
Flip the
Soldier,
flip switch was flipped.
Well, and she had
Um,
some real lore vibes in this scene. That's for you, Cameron, from Green Shirt, a newbie's trek through the next generation. Data has an evil brother named Lore, who is like
Yeah.
the opposite of Data. Data's emotionless and cold and, very professional. And his evil brother is like a scene chewing, mustache twirling, old school 1930s
I
cartoon
love
villain.
Evil Data. He's
like
my
manic
favorite.
depressive
Yes.
kind of.
Lore is great, and Brent Spiner playing against Brent Spiner is something that I am never gonna poo-poo. I'm not
It's
doing that. What
yeah.
I'm saying is there's definitely some similar vibes here where once her, switch has been flipped, she goes into head tilt mode, let my hair hang out in front of my face mode. Like she's very
Yeah,
like
like Ring style, like Chick from the Ring coming after
and
you, like
she's
from the well.
And she's like, I know everything to do. I'm gonna lock down the ship. I'm gonna knock everybody in this room out. I'm gonna like she just knows how to operate immediately. And we've never seen her do that before, because the last time she was stuck in a ship and there was a problem, she was like, "Oh, I'll leave to go to the other ship." So it might all
Yeah.
fit, right? Like it might fit that he accidentally made her more of a threat than she was previously. So
Yeah.
um
I
I
my next piece of notes though is, and I quote, "Fucking finally, Reavers."
That was one of my 5 bullet points that was checked off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they are just as terrifying and nightmare fueling as everyone said they were, and I
Mhm.
was stoked about it. I liked their introduction. I like how crazy they were, and I love when Jane says, "Bet you wish you had some grenades right about now."
Oh my god. Jane was right. It was so
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And I do. This is really cool. We just found this out right before we started. Went live. Did you know that Dennis
Oh,
from
yeah.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia was the guy that Mal shot?
That he pushed off the
He pushed
ship.
off, and then he shot
Really?
him
Yes,
to
that's
kill
fucking
him.
Dennis. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
look at Ricky's face. Ricky's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go watch all of it set in Philadelphia and then Serenity again.
Yeah.
We just like YouTubed the scene and you're like, my mouth was like
Yeah.
hanging the whole time, man. It's
He's
totally him.
he's listed in here. Glenn Howerton is listed as. Oh my goodness, where's it at? He's way
Wait,
down.
right at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Lilac Tough Guy or something like that.
Lilac something, yeah.
Guy.
I liked though that the twin brothers.
Oh.
I'm just laughing at myself. Mingo and Fanty are played by brothers, and I'm like,
Yeah. Lilac Young Tough is his name.
Nice.
That's who got killed.
Lilac.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna name our
That's-
son. Give our son
that's
Lilac.
There was
Basically
Lilac Jane.
naming- well, that's like basically naming your character tough talking pansy, right? Like
Yeah, dude.
like,
Pansy's a flower. I don't know if you knew that.
I did know
that's what
that.
I'm
Yes.
saying. Like, go
Yeah.
ahead, Ricky D.
Yeah, I was watching a lot of the special features, and Joss Whedon kind of got on a rant a bit, and he's like, if you're going to be making a space movie in the future, you have to have a hovercraft scene. There has to be a hovercraft chase.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
And
I
that was
think,
an epic hovercraft chase.
mhm.
I loved all the different ships in this, and especially all the different Reaver ships. And then
Yeah.
watching the Reaver ship chase after the land speeder, well, the giant land speeder, I
The
guess.
mule.
Mule, okay, yeah. But that whole scene was cool. A little bit of foreshadowing too with the harpoon that goes through Jane's leg. Just for later
It's
on.
rough.
But I was scared. I was scared for Jane right there. I was like, "Oh my god, my boey. That's his leg."
Take him.
But
Well,
it
and he
didn't
was
matter because
so-
dude just stood up and he's still just shooting. And then like he got a harpoon through his leg
His tank.
and was just running around the rest of the movie.
That's a man.
Simon's a good doctor.
yeah, Simon fixed
I
him up and put
guess.
him on pain meds and gave him some adrenaline shots. But
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was
Okay.
the thing about it was like when he screams, "If they take me, you shoot me."
Yeah.
He's not
Yeah,
even
I like that.
He's
got
not kidding.
no hesitation. Yeah, he says it to
Oh,
him like,
yeah.
"I need to know, like right now, dude."
Yeah.
Like, and it was it was a very effective moment. I
Mhm.
appreciated that. And I agree that it was some foreshadowing, but the foreshadowing gets even heavier later. So
Yeah.
that just really quickly back to that scene where River is the early warning system, right? I love the moment when she like nods her head toward the guy and goes,
Yep.
this guy.
Oh,
She
yeah.
gives her a face.
Yeah, Zoe's
Now,
like, what?
why does River give her that ultra confident face? Why does she do that?
Because
she's-
River. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
No, what's your thing?
It's because she is wildly lucid, but everybody still kind of treats her like a crazy person.
Yeah.
So she's got this thing like, yes, I know what I'm doing. I am lucid.
do it.
I'm reading his mind. Don't question me.
I felt like it was her reflection of Zoe's confidence because that's how Zoe looked at her, but backwards. Zoe was like,
I thought it
"Yeah."
was a mirror too. It was
Yeah.
like
yeah, because we've seen River immediately mirror people's emotions and ways of talking or thinking, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think actually to your point, Ricky D, I think that was probably more what was intended. And we're just like I said, we've been watching the show through this ultra thick lens where we're like, okay, what does every little thing mean, and we know that everything that was in the movie for a reason, but it's like, some of it is, it looks like that because they were shooting a movie, right? Like it's always going to be that way. So
yeah.
I really liked that moment, and I feel like part of the nice thing about it is that we can read it both ways. So Josh, you're talking about Shepherd Book looking real skinny, which is, I mean, the man was very,
Was he
very thin, right?
Yeah, was he going through some things
I don't
during
actually
filming of
know.
this?
Yeah, I don't
No.
think so.
I don't want to speak on it because I'm not sure. But
Okay.
it's,
Okay.
I mean, he was old when the show started, right? Like, so
Mhm,
Right.
yeah.
just to see age catch up to some people sometimes really hurts. But
Yeah.
I really love that discussion between him and Mal. 'Cause we kind of don't get that discussion in the series. Like we get the hints at that discussion, right? But then, for Mal, just telling him it's a long wait for a train don't come, and Book is like not shaken by any of Mal's flippancy or sarcasm. He's like, I know this is gonna come down to belief, and that's kind of the point, and it still ends up doing that. So it was a great moment, I thought, and I do kind of wonder, do you guys, I don't know if it's established anywhere. I don't think it was in the movie because I also just watched it, but do you know if it's established anywhere, Ricky D, how long it's been since Inara left or since they dropped Book at Haven?
I feel like it can't be that long because if Simon's only been on the ship for 8 months,
yeah,
it can't be that big of a gap, I don't think.
That's
And
true.
the series only covers like a month and a half or probably 4 or 5 months, right? Because there's one thing where they're saying like we've been flying for 90 days or something like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so it's kind of iffy on the timeline. It feels like this may have happened almost right after the last episode, or like this would have been the first, the structure of the first episode of season 2, or the arc of season 2, maybe. And we'll get into some speculation as we go because there's a lot of fun speculation, but um, it is still consistent with the show that they know Inara's call is a trap anyway, right? They've done that plenty of times where they're like, "Oh, this is
That
bad."
was
Oh yeah.
that
Let's
was a
go.
very serialized line right there. Like I feel like that was kind of where they put in the episode. You know what I mean? Like if that was gonna be an episode of TV, that was gonna be it.
Yeah. Ricky D, go ahead.
I just want to make sure we don't go past that barn swallow scene. Wash, he did his Cravey Ivan at the beginning of the series, and now we get in here and he's back into doing his cool flying moves with the barn swallow. They drag a Reaver in with them on accident. River swallows a bug.
Here's a question.
Oh yeah.
Um, you'll notice both times. I think the first time he says "Crazy Ivan," he says that to Zoe, and in this, when he says "Let's try a barn swallow," he says it to Zoe. So, like, do you think that they like practice these maneuvers? If you know what I mean, like,
I don't know. Wash kind
comment.
of seemed to allude that they had talked about this before.
oh,
It's my crazy plan.
Ricky D, I don't think Kylie is coming with. Josh, did you
No,
come with?
oh, we being dirty.
I did, and I believe that is exactly the case.
I felt like that's what they were trying to atone.
Yeah.
We're doing
like
the
they
crazy
have
Ivan.
Well, for
Yeah.
him to
And
be
she's like,
like,
"Oh, that's the
Zoe,
one where you
barn swallow."
do that."
She's like, and then you turn around, and then I'm okay. All right, yeah, because they got to go through the back of the
Wow.
ship, but while they're above moving, right? So like
Mhm,
maybe there's
mhm,
a treadmill involved. I thought maybe it was a fun shorthand.
Some kind
Ricky
of
D,
anti-gravity.
what is the name of the guy that plays Wash? I can never remember his name. It's
Alan
Alan
Threedick.
something. There we go. Thank you. I can never
It's
remember.
not
I
Tudyk?
know Adam Baldwin. Adam Baldwin, I'll never forget. But Alan
Oh,
Tudyk,
AB? Oh yeah, AB. He's tight.
I can almost never remember that one. But yeah,
Yeah.
my brother
He's
says
got one of those
my
names.
real life brother says, "Ah, geez, LOL. Welcome to the show, Matt. This is what it is."
Yeah.
But yes, Ricky
Yeah,
D, you're
here
right
it
to bring
is.
up the barn swallow and the bug swallow as well in the same scene. So let's see. Oh my god, you guys, I have so many notes for that. I have to scroll a long
too.
way to find where we are. Okay, Ricky D, I totally forgot about Mr. Universe. Was that just me? Did you forget about Mr. Universe?
No, in fact, if you look at my name on the chat, the altruistic pervert, that's what
Yeah.
I've been calling him. But yeah, I definitely
Huh.
remember Mr. Universe and his little love doll and like the Mal.
Oh,
Guy killed me, Mal.
are you talking about Bernard from the Santa Claus? That guy was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It was one of those things where I was like, I don't know how I feel about this elf owning a sex bot. Like, because I mean, really, that's all
He
that
built
guy
it. He
is.
built it in Santa's workshop. That was
married
his
it.
retirement gift. His retirement gift to himself was a sex bot. And then when he left Santa's workshop, he took that and went and worked with, the Firefly crew.
It was a love bot, not a sex bot.
Oh, sorry, a love bot. My bad. My bad.
They were
Callie,
married.
AB is short for Adam Baldwin. The OB is short for the boards, which is where Shepard Saxon and Rosie got in touch with cast and crew members of the show Firefly as it was running. AB, Adam Baldwin. If you'd like to hear AB say AB out, you should go listen to our interview with Jane Cobb, Mr. Adam Baldwin himself. And it's called Jane's Pod. So go listen to that. So the next note that I had was specifically about the crybabies. I wrote crybabies for the win because the whole time that Mal and the operative are confronting each other in Inara's little sanctuary, I didn't take a single note. I couldn't do it. I was just wrapped to the screen. Like I could not look away. I was just fully immersed. So, do you guys have any notes about Mal and the operative's first encounter? Ricky D, let's start with you.
I actually have notes on a deleted scene from the companion the companion training grounds, and it's not even a deleted scene. It was just something that was written down and never made it into the movie. But Inara actually was written a scene where she's practicing archery at the
that
companion.
shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of a backstory to that weird laser bow she was using. I think they called it a bolt caster.
I didn't think it was that weird.
course
That's
they
a
did.
very
Oh,
classy
a
thing to do. Is
bolt
archery.
caster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That sounds
and
very reminiscent of a bowcaster. Just throwing that.
So there was a lot of stuff in this movie where I was like, I wonder if this guy ever watched Star Wars as a kid. But yeah,
There were
anyways,
some
go
names
ahead.
in this movie that I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
hello,
I bet Jesse
hello
loves
to
that name.
Roy, the Intrepid DM
Hello.
from the Twist Arm Network. Thank you for being here, Intrepid DM. And hello to Calvadrin. That is a very cool name. Thank you for being here,
All right.
Calvadrin. Intrepid DM and Calvadrin are joining us on Twitch. If you want to watch the show on Twitch, you can go to twitch.tv/TMA Games, or you can go to facebook.com/twistmyarmpodcast, or you can go to youtube.com/a bunch of numbers and letters, because we haven't gotten our custom URL yet, but we're working on it. You guys, just keep your eyes open, because it's going to happen. So there's a lot of ways to watch the sudden but inevitable rewatch, and we are so glad that you have chosen to, because without that, why would we do it? So I would
do
like to
have
talk
some
about
notes
this.
though
Yes,
for
Josh,
this scene.
Josh, please.
My first note is, and this is Kylie brought this thing up. Because I was like, this assassin is no joke. While Kylie's over there going, another paralyzer.
Oh my god! Is anybody? Does everybody know what that's from?
No.
No, Kung Pao, dude.
Yeah, another
Oh.
paralyzer.
And so so when he was doing that, like that's God. Okay, if you don't know the reference, you don't know the reference.
Oh man, yeah, I died. I laughed pretty hard when she said that, because it's like Kung Pao and Firefly in the same. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And I imagine this guy as Betty, coming in. Mal, yes, I have come for you. My name is Betty. We gotta watch Kung Pao.
It's my
I'm
favorite
really
movie.
glad they didn't name him Betty. That would have been pretty awful. I'm glad they chose to just not give him a name. If you're experiencing any audio problems, I'm very sorry. There's not much we can really do at this point. We'll try one or two things. But I would like to encourage you to go listen to the podcast version as soon as it drops, because that sounds amazing. And it's
Yeah.
kind of where we make
And
our bread and butter.
I have one more note that was, just like Thanos, always aim for the head, Mal. Damn. How you're not going to aim for the head with this guy? Like, of course he's
Yeah.
wearing body armor, dude.
Dude.
I really love his
So those are
reaction
my notes.
of him being like, he's like, oh, good, and then shoots him, and then he waits to give him his comeback line, which is, I am Heaven, not a moron. Like, he's like offended that he thinks that he could just shoot him in the chest and be done with it. Like, come on, man, what am I? Like, so in
Yeah.
this scene, I wrote down, this guy is a true anti-Mal, and Jubal Early from Objects in Space was a pretender, because this
Okay.
guy is the guy who actually matches Mal's level of conviction when it comes to, I hate the Alliance, I do this, I do that. So it's just like, for this guy to show up and be Mal's foil is like, I feel like this is the only kind of villain that would work for this, right? Somebody who is actually better at being a space guy than Mal is, but that can go up against Mal in a way that makes it so that the only thing that can save Mal is the essence of Mal, which is his luck. His luck is what saves him, and his history, his past, his dedication is what saves him, right? Because had he not been fighting the Alliance, he still would have had that nerve cluster, and he still would have been paralyzed. So I really love this character. I kind of wish that it had been Jubal Early just for the sake of consistency, but I totally understand why it wasn't, right? Because that character does not stand up to this character. Like,
No.
almost to the point where you wonder, was that character a first draft for this character? Or maybe that character, went to the same assassin school and just hadn't graduated yet as this guy or something. Like, I don't know. But I love Chiwetel Ejiofor. I'm not sure how to say his name, and I apologize, but I love him in this movie. I love him in everything I've ever seen him in. Like you were mentioning, Josh, the his turn as Mordo in Doctor Strange was great. So I love that actor, and he does a very good job, in my opinion, in this movie. What did you guys think overall of his performance of the operative?
Kylie, what did you think?
Um, convincing, intense, intelligent. I thought that he definitely, like you mentioned, was definitely battle of wits with Mal kind of thing. I guess I don't know. I don't want to say that. I'm either disappointed that he wasn't as badass as I thought, or Mal is way more badass than I thought, because Mal bested him in a lot of different milestones, and it was kind of impressive, but yet I was confused. I was like, oh my gosh, I honestly kind of thought this guy was going to be a little bit more badass.
Well,
Just saying.
I think we got the best of Mal and his wit in this, though.
Yeah.
Like he had to dig deep inside himself to really get a plan together to get rid of this guy. And he fought him to the very end, and he got super lucky.
Yeah.
The shrapnel thing in his side is obviously what do they call those? In movies, they not tropes, but the it's like it saves the movie, like this little thing saves the characters or something. What's it?
Deus Ex Machina.
Yes, the shrapnel in Mal's side is like the most glaring ex machina of
Cool.
any movie I've ever watched. Like
I've seen much worse than that, and specifically because Mal's history is meant to be like the essence of the rebels, right? The rebellion. But not only that, Book told him the first time he was talking to him, he's gonna come at you sideways. And so it's like he did do that. He came at him from the side, right? So
yeah,
here's the thing is like I get what you mean, like as far as that being kind of like, oh, this is a chance thing we're supposed to just assume. But like I don't know. It's for me, it didn't feel out of place because Mal is a supremely lucky character, and he knows that luck is what gets him through a lot of stuff. So he usually luck is part of his plan, like 90% of the
yeah,
time. So I feel like it still fits despite being kind of an easy out, so to speak, right? But it's like the other thing that is consistent there is that Mal has been shown to really be able to take a beating, right? Like, because he got tortured the heck out of. See, there you go, brother. Perhaps Book trained the operative guy. He did know he was an operative, so maybe he has trained operatives or knew something about operatives. So maybe he was like, they're sending a guy whose favorite thing to do is this really cool paralyzer technique that they teach only in operative school that I learned, back in my past. But that's a good point. I hadn't considered that, but I feel like because it fits with the rest of the show, it didn't really bump me, I guess. Like, and the like I was saying, we saw Mal get tortured literally to death and then come back and be all right and full of wrath and one-liners. So if all he needs to do is get this out of close enough to be able to really stick him, then all he needs to do is take a beating, and he does proceed to do that. To your point, he gets his ass kicked. Like, he wins, but Mal isn't like standing over him in triumph, like totally, no bruises. Like, ha, it's like, I know I got lucky, and you're not gonna get lucky. So,
yeah. I don't know. I guess since we've watched the whole series, again, a newcomer coming into this movie, like a friend takes a friend to a movie that's never seen it, and they're gonna walk out like, really? That's how that guy survived? Was a piece of shrapnel on his side?
I remember
what?
I saw this before I saw any of Firefly, and I saw it in theaters, and I walked out with a lot of questions. There were certain people in the audience who were like, that was amazing, that was great. And I'm sure they were the prior Firefly fans. But as somebody who was fresh on the series, I had a lot of questions walking out of it.
I think, like, not in a I don't know what the word is. I'm not mad at the movie, but like if that was your only experience, I feel like it did you a disservice. Like there's some stuff about it that's like if a couple of things could have been smoothed out, or like I don't know, maybe not so directly pointed at, and it would have been a little better. But I I I don't think we can talk about this movie without talking about the place it was written from. Um, or how it was born. Like we're gonna tell people, hey, if the movie makes enough money, maybe we'll get another movie and this, that, and the other thing. And like Rosie was saying in the chat earlier, they had used a bunch of brown coats for viral marketing. Hey, go tell your friends, bring them to the movie, and then they did these pre-screenings of the movie for brown coats that were free with the cast and the crew and stuff. And it was like, so there is this argument out there that they showed the movie to most of the people that wanted to see it for free several times. So by the time the movie was in the theater, are those people gonna go, like some of those people will go back, right? But how many people are gonna go pay again to see it and stuff? And like even when we were talking, he says maybe if it had made a little bit more money, this, that, or the other thing. It's like I don't know though, because it still feels like it was written from the place of somebody going, fine, if you're gonna cancel my show, I'm gonna cancel your freaking verse. Like there's some parts of it that feel like they were written out of spite to me. They feel that way. And I don't and Rosie's clarifying they paid for the screenings. I don't mean to like act like you got some kind of handout, Rosie. But it was one of those things where they put up tickets and they were immediately gone, right? So I just it's like I don't know. It feels like he wrote some of the stuff that he wrote into this movie because he was mad that his show got canceled, which I understand, but like it still feels like he was swiping at fans because like those are the only people the executives are going to go watch this movie and go, oh, you guys, we really screwed up, right? So it's like the only people you're swiping at here are the people that care about it. And it felt there were a couple points to me that felt kind of pokey, but I don't know if you guys picked up on any of that. Maybe it was just me.
I did pick up on that. And I mean, I would agree. It seemed like a petulant child that was upset that his toy got taken away, and so he just burned the whole fucking house down. And I don't know. That's kind of how I felt like with the way that he, like you said, treated a lot of the characters and stuff. It was just like, come on, man, he didn't have to do us like that. But I don't know. That's where I'm at. Well, did you see anything like that, Kylie?
I guess I didn't know.
No.
No, I don't usually see those kinds
Yeah.
of things though. Maybe that's a little bit over my head.
Maybe it's I don't know. I think that stupid Vulcan collar that Zoe was wearing at the end too was a nice swipe at
I did
some
notice
fans.
that her attire was quite Star Trekky. It was cute.
She was heading to Planet Vulcan for sure. Like,
I like
did
that
you
she
see
was
that collar?
yes, I liked that she was in white. We've spoken. Actually, I don't think it was on our show. But in some of the current Eastern cultures on Earth, that is white is the color for mourning and death. So in the Firefly verse, where the Eastern and Western cultures have mixed, it's nice to see that kind of persevere, to stick through that. And it's kind of her dress to me definitely looked like it could have also been a wedding dress, and maybe it was meant to be her wedding dress. But it has that sort of double thing going on there. It's very lacy and flowy, but white is the mourning. So
I did like and I really liked, just to kind of go in a little bit into just parts of the movie, but we got a little insight on the Chinese part of the verse, the Mandarin part of the verse, where they go down to that city and like it's all in, Chinese writing and everyone's speaking Mandarin or Chinese. I don't even know what language. I think it's Mandarin, right? But I thought that was a pretty cool like look into the verse at not just the primarily English speaking characters, but then you got to see all the other parts of the verse that,
Yeah,
I
I
like
felt like in the Firefly show, there were just whispers of the Eastern culture. You had to really search for and grab them and pluck them out. But they did a
Yeah.
much better job in Serenity of making this interesting merged American Chinese future, which was really kind of cool. I think they did a
Yeah.
better job of it in Serenity.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Man, I don't know. This movie just has so many things. Like sometimes I think the series would have been better with another season instead of a movie. Like after watching this now, I feel like they could have done a much better job. If even if Whedon wanted to be a child about it, he still could have made a a season over it instead of a freaking awful. I don't know. This movie has me going in so many different directions right now. I can't even like think straight. But let's just get to the elephant in the room. They killed my boy, and I want to tell you right now, I was not sad. I was angry. I was angry, and not angry at the Reavers. I was angry at the writers
Well,
because why? I know we're skipping ahead, but it's on my mind, and we got to talk about it. Why would you kill Wash? Why?
well, that actually reminds me of something. Josh, Kylie, do you know how Reavers clean their spears? They run them through the wash.
I let you go for so long on that, Ricky D. I was like, he's gonna do it at the end of this series, and I can't wait to be there for it. But it's gonna feel so mean. But Josh and Kylie, be fair, Ricky D has just exposed you to the line that, like,
That was
in
the
the
joke
on
that
the
he wanted to say. Yep.
yes, and
Yep.
on the internet, that's like the line that fans use as like a galvanizing, like, we still lived through this thing. Like they say it to each other once they've experienced the whole thing, right? Like they do the it's the shared pain coda almost for the show. So
Dude,
you
like,
have been initiated once again. Here's my thing about that. So
well, hang on. And
Thanks.
I wanna go because Rosie says Alan didn't sign on for the 3 years. I get that. But I mean they weren't gonna make the last two movies anyway, or another season. So why would you end it on such a terrible like kill Simon? Don't kill Wash. Get rid of that little twerp. Like you could find another doctor somewhere. Like why would you oh man, the best character too. And like I get it. It was for shock value. It was for surprise. It was an FU to the fans, basically. Like, oh, you like this guy? Well, I'm just going to kill him. I'm not going to get my show anymore anyway. So you guys can all just suffer with me. And to your point, Jesse, is basically what I'm making here. And I was so upset about it. It literally knocked my rating of this movie down 2 pegs because of how upsetting that was. It kind of ruined the rest of the movie for me. Like, after that, I was like, I'm done.
yeah.
What? Why would you do that? The hang on.
So
Where did I have some notes here. Oh, I said, oh God, did Serenity just die? And Wash, I hate this movie. I effing hate it. F this movie.
so Ricky, Rona was saying that's grim. She wasn't talking about your grin.
Oh, my bad.
You're good.
You do have a nice
Um,
grin though.
but here's the thing though, right? So two things. First thing, when they're outside in this planet, which I have a joke for too, but we'll get there. They shouldn't have called the planet Miranda. They should have called it Overexposure. So Jane, they're all standing in the street, and Jane is. They're talking about. He's like, you know what? You're right. We got to get out of here. Jane says, yeah, everybody here is dead for no reason. And then the camera just focuses on Wash. Like the next line is Wash for 3 seconds saying nothing, and then goes, let's go find the beacon. And it's like almost jointed. Like that's not a logical reaction to what Dane said. And like, why did you do that? Like, why did you say, hey, I'm about to kill this guy and then kill him? And they put him in the red
Dude,
light and everything. It was just like,
dude.
but here's the other Here's the other thing, Josh. If you remember all the way back to the first episode of Sudden but Inevitable Rewatch, which I know you don't, so I'm just going to tell you, this is much like the Battle of Serenity Valley. Those kinds
Sure,
of
and
things
I did want to make the
just end.
parallels to that because there were a lot of parallels from the pilot to the movie for sure.
Those kinds of things just end. They don't end when you think they're over or like, okay, here comes, my angels or whatever it is. They just end when somebody loses. And they lost. And good God, Zoe for the rest of this movie, right? Just,
Yeah.
ugh. Oh my God. Anyways, would you like to go
You
back
can
or do you
justify
want
it
to
all
talk
you want. It was
it?
still the stupidest decision ever made.
Oh, I'm not fighting it. I'm just telling you it wasn't really like hidden. And now, actually, I have a question for you, Josh. Do you know who killed Agent Phil Coulson in the Avengers movie?
Do I know who killed him?
Yeah, it
Well,
was Joss
yeah.
Whedon.
Oh, well,
he he wrote the Avengers movie, so
Christ.
it's kind of his
Yeah, they
thing
needed
now,
something to
where
avenge, though. Okay, that made
but,
sense
but my
to kill
point
that
is
guy to avenge him.
right. My
This made
point
no
is
sense. This is a
kind of
senseless
his
death.
thing now. He goes
I was
through, he
upset about
finds the
Coulson.
character you like the most, and he kills them. That's what Josh does. So if your favorite character was Justice League movie,
That was a good one. I liked it. I liked it. That was a great joke because he absolutely destroyed that. It wasn't even one character, it was an entire movie. So yeah, he's got a pretty bad track record for ruining my favorite characters and good movies. I don't know. It just was so man. And I get it. It was cool to see Zoe like go in lockdown mode of like, I don't even care if I die. I'm going to take as many of you with me as I can and do it with a smile. Like it was very cool to see her go into like war mode. It was kind of like how Mal was saying, if you see me go to war, you'll see a side you've never seen before or whatever. And that was kind of what we saw with Zoe. We saw both with Mal too, but we definitely saw that with Zoe. It was a shutdown. I will end you. It was like the Tom Cruise speech from Tropic Thunder where he's like, I will rain down upon you. But again, it's just the most senseless death, dude. And it upset me to the point of like by the end of it, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take it down 2 notches because that was pointless. And I found no reason behind it. Killing Simon makes more sense because that gives River a reason to turn into Raging River. But
but
like
you can't keep her like in normal mode without Simon. So
they've got the Winter Soldier code. It's fine. They just put her to
they
sleep.
have no, they have the shutdown code. They don't know because they don't just say Miranda and she goes crazy, right? So they don't know the activation key, but they know the shutdown code. That's not enough of the equation. But
Do you know
to
what
your
that?
point, Saxon in the chat is saying, I don't like the movie itself, Josh. I was ready to walk away from the fandom, but it was who is that? Adam Baldwin. Do you guys know Adam Baldwin? Who took me
Oh,
into
AB,
saying
yeah, he's
brown
like,
coats. That's how I got to talking to him, emails, and OB, the original boards. That is very it's gotta be bittersweet, right, Saxon? I mean,
I
yeah.
think I would agree with Saxon. Like the movie was enjoyable in a way, but it was also a lot of rehashing, a lot of pointlessness. I mean, Shepard didn't need to die either. Movie contracts aside, that dude died a terrible death too. And I mean, I guess it gave Mal a reason to avenge, but I don't know. It just,
So
I would have to agree with Saxon that I'm not like I'm not the biggest fan of this movie, I guess.
yeah. And so earlier I made that reference for Cameron from Green Shirt. So now I'll make this one for you, Josh. When they go back to Haven, those New Hope vibes, those are for you. Those all for you. So I hope you
I
really
got
enjoyed them.
that. I did get that for sure. For sure.
But to your
So
point, Zoe in detached mode breaks my heart. So I just go ahead, Ricky.
Yeah. You were talking about River's shutdown code. Did anybody else look up the translation for this one?
I did not.
The Russian, I didn't know.
It was Russian. Good catch.
We watched it in subtitles.
Subtitles, it said Russian.
Okay.
But thank you.
Yeah.
I'm multilingual, so
Good job at reading the subtitles.
What he said in Russian was "etekurum na smek," and the translation is "that's for chickens to laugh at,"
Oh my god.
and that's what shuts her down.
wow, dude. Okay, it reminds me of a couple different anime shows. But yeah, that's awesome. It's always some random funny,
Yeah.
phrase.
I feel like that's another jab at the fans. This is just a movie for the chicken fans to laugh at.
Yeah.
Most of their Chinese and most of their translations were bizarro nonsense phrases.
Yeah, they were. No, I
Well,
know.
sometimes translations in general turn out to be bizarro nonsense. They might be something prophetic and loquacious and in one language, and then turn out to be utter crap in the other. So
Yeah. I don't know. That's I still think, the shutdown code could have worked. They could have just used that because she eventually woke up, Then you just gotta find a hacker. You gotta go talk to the love bot and have her hack into to find the code.
So speaking of Mr. Universe's signal boosting room, that's got to be the most Star Wars room that we've seen yet, right? Like of all the rooms.
Wait, which Star Wars room? There was a lot.
Mr.
The room at the
Universe's
end.
Oh
area.
yes, yeah.
Where
I
he goes
actually,
plug in the thing.
I kind of when you got an inside view of it when Mal actually went into the room, it reminded me more of a Matrix kind of room.
See,
No,
I
I'm
was
talking
thinking
about the
blank check.
room where I'm talking
What?
about the room where he fights the operative
Yeah, with all those chains and turbines and
Oh,
and the
yeah.
pits
And
and
that was a
giant circular shaft. Yeah.
yeah. That was a total Star Wars vibe for sure.
they really should have chucked the operative down that pit.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
with electricity flying everywhere.
Mhm.
No.
We've
Nah.
seen we've seen Mal leave alive very threatening characters before though. And he broke this guy. So he's not a threat
Yes.
anymore. Mal
Mhm.
took what made that guy a threat. Mal took his
Yeah,
faith.
yeah.
So now he's not a threat. So
Speaking of breaking him, did he not break his back? I feel like Mal paralyzed him.
That was supposed to be him breaking the guy's arms, but it was widely received as he was breaking their back.
Okay.
Okay.
because he
'Cause,
had both his arms in that lock. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
and
way
I
that he
think I
dropped
was
him- Yeah.
I'm all thinking he's paralyzed, and then he just comes walking up, and I'm like, oh, I guess not.
Nope.
Well, it's also the future. So and Zoe got
That's
cut
true.
across her
They
spine,
did
and he was like,
spray
let me
some
just put
gel.
foam in there. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
Puts whipped cream in there.
expanding foam.
Here's some human caulking.
The expanding foam
Rosie-
fixes houses. Why not people?
Put Shepherd Rosie up on the screen. She says this time rewatching it for this podcast was the best. It was like reuniting with an old family. I am so happy that we were able to provide a slightly new twist on your old brown coat fandom because we wouldn't be here without you guys. So it kind of comes full
And I'm
circle.
not. I don't mean to talk bad about the movie or anything. Like I know people really love this movie. Just for me personally, man, the series
Coming off
just
the series,
trumped this.
expectations are sky high.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And again, if we waited 3 years, maybe we should have done that and waited 3 years and then watch the movie and see what it was like. But yeah, and you're absolutely right, Ricky. Coming straight from the series into the movie and dealing with the amount of rehashing, it yeah. Give me a couple months. We'll go through the rebop for a little bit, and then I'll rewatch this movie and see how I feel then. Still gonna be pissed about Wash, but we'll see how I feel. I did, and speaking of, it's funny. In my notes, I actually have for the scene with Mal and God, whatever his name is, Baron. when they're fighting, it reminded me a lot of any other 90s movie with a freaking satellite in it. Like it kind of to me seemed like they were fighting on a giant satellite, and the stakes was that someone was going to get pushed off the edge, GoldenEye style, and fall all the way to the bottom. But that's just me, I guess. I actually tried to go look up. I didn't have enough time, but I was trying to go find all the different movies that had a giant satellite fight in it from the late 90s and early 2000s. It's a lot, but I couldn't find them
There
all.
was a
I could
James
only find
Bond in
Cable.
there.
Yeah, Cable Guy, GoldenEye.
Cable guy.
Funny it rhymes.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's. I mean, I think Kindergarten Cop had something to do with the satellite. With Dominic, get off of the tower. I'm pretty sure.
I forgot that movie even existed until it was brought up the other day in our interview with Cameron from
Until
Green
we
Shirt and
interviewed
Newbies
Cameron.
Trek through the Next Generation. You should go.
That
check
episode
out
will
his-
air next Thursday for the Twist My Arm podcast. We have our interview with Cameron. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that whole last fight scene was pretty awesome. What did you think, Kylie, of the whole Mal getting shanked and shot and his eye burst?
There was definitely a lot going on all at once in that particular 3 minutes. So I honestly I don't know if I necessarily noted just him getting hurt. There was so much, like, I don't know, I was probably still reeling from Wash. Like, I feel like my mouth was still, my jaw was still dropped from that moment. And then
She screamed, by the way. She
I
screamed.
did. I audibly screamed no. Definitely. Definitely. But no, I feel like in the next couple minutes following that, it was just something right after another, and I couldn't recover from one thing to the next. So I to recap, not really thinking one thing about Mal. I'm thinking a bunch of all these things about everything going on with everybody.
They put you in Zoe's mindset because she doesn't have time to think about any of that. He just ain't coming with. Go ahead, Ricky.
Josh mentioned that Mal's eyeball was burst.
Yeah.
And that was actually a makeup effect that they learned on accident in War Stories. If you go back to War Stories with all the fake blood going down their face, Wash got blood in his eye, in his contact, and it made this really cool red eye effect that they doubled up on in the Serenity movie, but they put it on Mal.
Nice. Yeah, it looked pretty gross, man. Something was wrong with his eye. I've actually seen a blood vessel break in somebody's eye before. Not from getting hit. It just happens sometimes, and it looks similar.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty for sure.
We're kind of jumping around a little bit right now, but I want to go back to the spaceship battle because it feels like we're jumping over that.
No, I wanted to go back to the whole scenario of or the whole planet that deserted with Sarah Paulson, I think. Is that who was in there? When they go meet up with her?
So yeah, Sarah Paulson, she's from, she's from a few things, but most notably American Horror Story.
Yep.
And so when I saw her, I was like, oh my God, she looks just like a baby. But you could tell it was her voice. And when she screamed, because, she screams a lot in the scary American Horror Story, you knew it was her, and it was kind of exciting. So there, just like with Dennis from Always Sunny, there was a lot of different cute little Easter eggs throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. And I like them figuring out that the Alliance is the reason Reavers exist.
That was crazy. I love the whole mashing, and this is why I like Star Trek. I like science-y, but also, spacey as well. So when they kind of
real science fiction.
Sure.
Versus fantasy science fiction, kind of.
Correct. Yeah.
But that was when they first started, the Reavers first started coming out, when they were killing, right at the beginning. I was like, oh my God, dude, those look like zombies, but intelligent, wondering how that happens. And of course it's like some sort of contagion, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they said they released the toxin into the air to try and get people
to make them copacetic,
to not stress, to take their stress away.
And to also make them obedient, kind of.
And like half the planet went too obedient and ended up just like not doing anything and dying, and the other half of the planet went like insane and turned into reavers.
It was a very small fraction of them. It wasn't like half
So,
and half. It was
But
like
there were so many
99 and 1.
people on that planet, though,
Yeah.
that it turned out to be, a large
Because
handful.
didn't they say it was like some 100 million or like
It was
even
a
a billion
crazy,
or something like that?
crazy amount.
And even
so
25% of 500 million is a lot.
Rosie says
Well, we're
10%.
getting
Kayla says
10%,
2%. The
2%,
point is,
but
some
We're
of
talking
them
about
turn
milk
into
right now?
reavers. So,
9%.
yeah, never had a lot of 10% milk, but so what do you guys think this is supposed to be? Like, this is pretty clearly, it feels like it's clearly the writer trying to say something about like society and the government, right? Like, so what is it trying to say, do you guys think?
Well, it just kind of, to me, it was like you can't fix death, basically. Like it seemed like they were trying to do everything they can to, keep people alive for as long as they could. It's always that, right? Aren't they always experimenting on humans to try and help us survive longer or help us be better or enhance us in some sort of way? And I feel like they were trying to do that in this, and it just backfired completely.
Aaron from the Fandom Thing Pod, thank you for popping in to wish us a happy season finale and congratulations. If you haven't seen Serenity, I ask that you leave, unfortunately, even though I appreciate your support and love you. And you should go check out It's a Fandom Thing Pod. Very good podcast. It is all things fandom from the female perspective. Definitely check that out. And definitely check out their upcoming live trivia night next Saturday, May 15th, featuring us, the sudden but inevitable Rewatch crew. Seriously, though, you should leave because we're talking heavy spoilers. So the thing about that
Good to
is
see
that
you.
to your point, though, Josh, I think you're right. It's a meddling thing, right? Like whenever they try to improve us or whenever they try to, change us in some way, it always goes, so part of it goes wrong. But like, I don't know. It feels. Let's have Ricky D go. Go ahead, Ricky D.
Yeah, you say it's meddling. I think it's the government trying to turn us into a resource and make money.
And I could see that too, because River obviously got pulled away from that place to be experimented on because she was more enhanced or something. Like you see in the flashbacks how they tell her to lay down and she's like, no. And they're like, well, you're rejecting this. Why aren't you laying down? Lay down. And she's like, no.
I don't think she. Well, here's a question that I have because it's not super clear to me. I don't think she was ever on Miranda before. I think that was her like
You don't think so?
experiencing. No, I think that's her experiencing the past through those people's resonant emotions and feelings, right? Because like we've seen her know some she shouldn't know before, like with Jane and Christmas, and like what's going on there, and like that's not where her and Simon grew up, because otherwise they would know the place. And they're like, what's with all these empty cities? Like her and Simon have never been there before. So scenes of her on the planet are like
Didn't she
an
get sent
amalgamation
away
of
though? Didn't her parents send her away when Simon went to college for schooling or whatever?
well, yeah, but he went and got her. So she wasn't there, like, you know what I mean? Like, because their secret facility wasn't on Miranda, because he would have said, "Oh yeah, that's where I went and got her. There's nobody
No,
there
well,
now."
and here's
walk."
what I'm thinking is that she was on Miranda, but once they found out that she was more enhanced, they pulled her away from there to go experiment on her, and that's when Simon went and rescued her. Was when they pulled
So
her off of Miranda.
I feel like they're
Because I
implying
feel
this
like
is
she was trying to hear everybody's thoughts there, but she couldn't hear anything. Like she was like, I see them all in my head, but I hear nothing. Like she had seen them before and she knows who they are, but she couldn't hear them talking or something like that.
but so I really feel like those scenes on Miranda are implied to have taken place before the series happened, like before Firefly happened, right?
And that makes sense.
Or like
I think
immediately
for me,
after.
it just
I don't
seemed
think
like
River
it
would
seemed
at
like
all,
that's how it was.
because she was
It's-
born on wherever her and Simon grew up, and then she was gone for a very small amount of time, and then a couple of years or whatever, and he went and got her. It feels like what's going on. These people on this planet have been dead for a long time. Some of them are preserved, some of them are not. Reavers have been a threat the whole time. So if this is the origin of the Reavers, then I, I don't know. I feel like River was never there. I
I
feel like
see where
she
you're
was
coming from.
looking at that place, and getting everything from it.
That being said, it's
But
very crazy that when she was in the class with that little boy and the little boy was talking about Reavers before they were even made, then
Mm.
it's definitely
so that's your clue
pulling
right
from
there,
the
right?
future to see to in the past, yeah, and that makes
Exactly.
sense.
And it's pulling from her memories, right? It's a mix of her
Yeah,
memories and what hasn't happened yet. Because earlier, when she's in the bar, she's seeing Reavers and she's seeing herself kick Reaver ass. She's
that's
like,
true.
"Oh, I've kicked ass before," like, and she's saying it's not dangerous for us, it's dangerous for them, because she's getting echoes of that. So it's like, I think it's meant to be a it's showing us how River's mind is interpreting what it's getting, which is kind of mix it with memory and just go with whatever is there, because I have no control over it. And then the minute that she has it, she has a oh yeah, when they find the recording, they said the recording was 12 years old. So unless River was in the uh uh academy for 12 years, which wouldn't fit if she were 17, I don't think. Anyways, I think it's meant to show it. This is how River's brain interprets things. Some of it's memory, some of it's information that was buried that she didn't ask for. She said, these memories aren't mine, that kind of thing. She said that a couple times. So
Yeah, and
I
that makes more
love
sense. I guess.
her emotion
Sorry.
though. There, Summer Glau's emotion on that planet the whole time is just so
Yeah,
empowering. Like, she crushes those scenes. I mean, even
she was really
even
good.
though we know that she has to do that, like, somebody drops off the screen is on the bingo card. Um, even though that we know she's doing the whole, like, oh, she's insane thing, right? She's also doing like you can see her trying to interpret, but mostly she's just suffering. So it's like it's
Yeah,
just painful for her, and I feel like that's why that planet is shot that way. That's why the planet is overexposed, because River is overexposed all the
that's
time.
got to be the
So
curse of a
now,
psychic, right? Being
right,
able to
so now
hear
all
all
these
that at all
people
times.
know how she feels, because there's just like confusion and questions and overexposure around them. So yeah,
Yeah,
I really love the parallels that they do on that planet. That whole thing felt really Star Trek to me, so I loved it. That was like right up my alley
and
personally.
I wanted to say that that whole planet seemed very Star Trek to me. Landing and it's all white and it's all like perfect, utopian looking society, and I don't know, it seemed pretty Star Trekky and to me for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, is Mike falling on the bingo card?
Ricky touches his mic has got to be on the bingo card.
It should be.
It should be the free space in the middle of the bingo card. Like,
It's a bad habit I got from Dr. Drew.
yeah. Um Perfect. I love it, Callie. Thank you. So, um the rest of the notes that I have are mostly just emotional things, like, the sight of Gina Torres every scene post wash brings tears to my eyes, because she really managed to imbue grief and don't have time to grieve and got to keep functioning and all that stuff in every single scene she has after that. And that moment where in the pilot, when, or no, that wasn't in the pilot, this was in Out of Gas, when we learn how Mal bought Serenity. We have this thing where the guy is saying, yeah, she's a good ship, you take her up, do this, everything will be great, and you think he's talking about Serenity, but it turns out he's talking about a different ship, and Mal is looking at Serenity while he's saying that. So we get that parallel here at the very end of this movie, where Mal says, how's she holding up? And Zoe says she's tore up good, but she'll fly right. They're not talking about the ship, they're talking about
Right,
Zoe.
right.
And it hits you so hard, but man, does she have the gravitas to pull that off. Like, I didn't doubt her for a second, but I could still hear the pain in her voice. And Gina Torres is a vision, especially in this movie. I mean, her in the white morning was amazing. I wrote down Zoe in black, yes, please, from the start of the movie. She's got like the very tight jacket on and it's all black. Like, I'm gonna say it again. Zoe is the best cowboy character ever. She's the pinnacle of cowboy characters. So I love
They
Zoe.
really emphasized that at the beginning of this with every single line that she had for the first 20 minutes. It was something cowboy, something with a twang in it that had to
Yeah.
do with
Or sir.
Right behind you, sir.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't reckon, something cowboy. Yeah, you guys were all telling me to bring tissues, and I would be the one that would cry during this movie, but I think I was just so upset that it was such a meaningless kill that I was like, none of this matters to me right now. Zoe's emotion doesn't matter to me because she should not have to do this because that was a stupid, stupid decision. And I think that's I don't know. I guess it should have been more emotional, but for me it was just more I turned a little bit more to the dark side after watching this movie for sure. The anger and rage has boiled.
I want to say hi to Sean from Cheap Seat Reviews. He is in the chat. Welcome, Sean.
Yo.
He says it's a small thing to notice, but after washed, Zoe does specifically stab a Reaver to get her revenge.
She does.
There's a moment where she just goes, "I don't even need a gun. I just need a blade. I just need to be close to it." And yes,
Yeah.
Shepard Saxon, the slinky dress for wash, the slinky dress of mourning. How many times do you say that? So I don't
okay.
have a ton of other we'll call them episode notes, right? So if you guys have any other notes you'd really like to get to before we get to our first segment, I think this is the
Well,
time.
speaking of, I have a few. I just wanted to talk about how they kept the series trope going, where they say something about Mal and how he's going to be successful, and he ends up with his face on the floor.
Yeah.
It's right when they're kind of losing against the Reavers, and also a cool scene that Kylie and I both kind of picked up on immediately when Raging River runs out into the Reavers and they shut the door and you just hear all the Reavers screaming and stuff. Kylie and I are like, I bet that's River just kicking the shit out of them
they're
right now.
screaming in agony.
Yeah,
Like,
well, like the audience is supposed to think that she's just in there getting wrecked.
and they're all like pounding at the door.
Yeah. No, they're
you know?
pounding to get out because this little 90-pound can of whoop ass just got opened all over their faces.
Yeah.
So but that scene when
We saw that.
when Zoe's talking and who says it? I think Jane says it. You really think you really think he got through? And Zoe's like, I know he got through. And then immediately Mal's face just hits the floor
Like,
and he's bleeding everywhere. And he says something to I keep wanting to call him the ambassador for some reason. The assassin, but he says something
the
to him.
operative.
I can
The
never
ambassador.
get my names right on these freaking shows, man.
It took him probably a couple weeks to get Zoe down. So
And the show's over now.
yeah.
Now I gotta learn a whole new cast of characters. And it's gonna be even harder to remember. One of them's a dog, I guess. But anyway, sorry.
It's gonna be fun.
Let's see. I loved that Simon finally admitted to Kaylee that he liked her and had feelings, and that is what got Kaylee going. She's like, you mean you're gonna dust off the old vents and kickstart the batteries or whatever she says, and my notes.
Ain't
I write
nothing
down from-
betwixt my nethers. They ain't run on batteries for months.
Yes. And then Simon says something about how I wish, we would have whatever. And my notes is Kaylee's gonna live for sex.
Oh, she's staying alive.
Yeah. She's like, I am not missing out on this D. I don't even care right now. It's gonna happen. What? Didn't hear talking about Reavers on Galaxy. I did a little bit. I did hear talking about swordplay and stuff. I did not get any spoilers from GalaxyCon though. I actually did get spoiled on Shepard's death before we even started this series. I had read something about the death of Shepard, and I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess I know he dies. And then we started the show, and I was like, I'm just gonna wait till it happens in the series, like, because I thought it was gonna happen in like an episode at some point that he died, but no, it was in the movie. So
I
that
feel
was-
like in regards to spoilers, Jesse's been spending the last couple months just like waking up in the middle of the night going, no spoilers. Don't let Josh know. No spoilers.
yeah, I feel like he's probably got access to my Twitter, and he just hops on there and like proofreads it right before I wake up every morning. He's like, I know he wakes up at 6, so I'm gonna wake up at 5:30. I'm gonna go through his Twitter and take off any sort of spoiler that he could possibly see. Let's see. Oh, one huge thing. There were sound effects in space.
No, shit, zip. I have information on that.
Please enlighten me.
Yes. So that was right after Serenity, and all of the Reaver ships came through that ion cloud. And it was the conceit of the crew and the staff that ion cloud existed as the upper end of the atmosphere. So that space battle happened in atmosphere with gravity, with oxygen, with ability for noise.
Sound has to have something to bounce off of. So that makes all the sense in the world.
I guess.
Upper atmosphere, but that was what they discussed during the commentary. I remember them talking about that very clearly.
And when Mal fired just like the regular old gun at the Reaver ship, there was no sound. There was like, that was totally silent. And then once they came through the cloud, there was some sound going on. But yeah,
the
first time,
I guess that it was kind of confusing because the first time they were shooting, it didn't make a sound, and then okay, all right, I guess so. All right, that's again a Star Trekian way to explain things away, but I'll accept it.
When you fly through an ion cloud, it becomes ionized, which increases the magnetic resonance frequency, which is gonna bounce some of the sound waves around. I thought that was pretty obvious, but
yeah. Let's see. So more. Oh, I liked how they dressed up Serenity as a Reaver ship. I called it Serenity. Yeah, Kylie hated it too. It's fine. But
No, I just wanted to say he actually worked on that. That was probably number 3. Nickname number 3 that he came up with. And I told him that was probably the closest he was ever going to get.
It really was. I couldn't like what else are you going to do with that?
Not much.
Could have loved it.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, that we didn't even talk about the fact that these dudes just kind of teamed up with some Reavers. Like originally I looked at Kylie and I was like, oh my God, they're going to go team up with these guys. And then in my notes, I wrote in quotes, they teamed up because they didn't really team up per se.
They don't speak reason.
Yeah, they brought them along for the ride to, distract Baron.
And destroy.
Yes, absolutely destroy. I don't like that they killed Mr. Universe. But I do like how he used his love robot to give Mal the message.
I didn't care about that character at all, honestly. When
No?
he died, I was like, oh, don't care.
No, I wasn't much sad, but I did think it was cool that he...
Yeah.
I appreciated the effect of them showing, hey, this is how they would get at Mal, right? They would go to all these people that's ever given them shelter, but like, give me Badger then. Show me Badger pull his gun out not in time.
Badger was
really
nowhere.
make me feel it. I don't know Mr. Universe. I don't care about that character.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I only had 2 more. Oh, one of my favorite notes. Epic tailspin, bro. Because that whole scene was really cool. And I loved seeing Jane go and do the flight attendant check on everybody's seatbelt.
Yeah.
I thought that was really sweet of him after he had just tried to sell out.
It wasn't sweet of him. Mal ordered him to do that. He said Jane, and he went right, and then he went to do the checks.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't catch that. I was focused too much on the tailspin.
I do feel like that's like Jane's job when Serenity is in a hairy spot.
Okay. All of their friends, all of their friends. They did. I'm pretty sure they did kill, who you just mentioned. I'm pretty sure
Mr.
that
Universe?
no Badger. I'm pretty sure the assassin killed all of the people that ever harbored them. That would include Badger, wouldn't it?
I know
Because
they
then there's the
mentioned
scene with all the dead people.
they showed the screens, and I think they showed Whitefall or
Yep.
Whitefall. Was it Whitefall?
Yeah, they
So,
showed Whitefall.
but like, give me the Badger scene is what I'm saying. Like, don't give me the like. Oh, also this happened. It's like killing Admiral Akbar off screen. Like, why would you do that? That's stupid.
Speaking of
Agreed.
characters dying, we killed way more civilians in this movie than we did in the entire series.
There was a lot.
Yeah. But the crew didn't. I mean, there's
No, not
civilians
really.
on those Alliance cruisers.
I mean, Mal shot that guy in the ship, and Dennis Reynolds. Those were two.
All right.
he wasn't. Wait, in the ship? What guy in the ship? Are you talking about?
There was a
Getting
guy.
out?
I think that might have been a
Popped
Reaver.
out- It was on. No, it was an Alliance guy. He popped out of
Yeah.
his ship after killing
An Alliance
Shepard,
guy.
and he's
Yeah.
like walking towards the Alliance guy and just blasts him.
Yeah.
Badger was not a friend, Saxon, but to us, I know what you mean, but to us, it's like a character that we would have cared about to see that happen, right?
Well,
Like,
that he associated
saying-
with, I guess.
I'm not saying he would have protected Mal. I'm saying they would know that he's had dealings with Mal, and they would go squeeze him. And then even if he
Mhm.
answered them, which he probably would, they would kill him because they showed that character do that to the character Mr. Universe, who again, why do I care about that character? I don't have that same interaction, but with Badger, where he goes, "What if I paid you?" And Badger goes, "You don't need to pay me. I don't really like the guy." And then he kills Badger anyway. Like,
Yeah.
that's a better scene than this whole Mr. Universe crap. Like,
Crap.
Yeah. And
better
my
scene
last
for us because we know Badger. Badger is our friend, the viewer's friend, not Mal's friend. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So my last bit of notes, and this is just for me because I really hated Baron. He did a great job. That actor was fantastic at making me hate him. But I like to think that Baron Mordo went out the honorable way, seppuku style, and just fell on his own sword because he
Could
had
have.
nothing to live for anymore. Like I seriously thought he was gonna look at Mal and be like, "You're not gonna see me ever again," and just fucking stab himself.
Yeah.
Well, he said
That's
because
probably
there's
how he went
nothing
out.
left to see. So it could
Yeah.
mean that he's saying like, I'm gonna go get rid of myself. But here's the
That's
other
Yeah.
what I took.
here's
Yeah.
the other thing. He was
And I agree with you, cheap seat. Thank you. Jesse is wrong because Mr. Universe is pretty awesome. So
it's not a good character. It's a cheap comic relief character that has no reason to be in the movie other than he can send news to everyone, and we haven't had that character yet. So
well, it's another ex machina for the movie. It was the how do we get this out to everyone? Oh, I know. Let's call Mr. Universe. He'll help us. It was
Mr.
just one of
Universe.
those extra things.
to me, he's the lazy part of the movie. So
But
Mr.
at least it was a good
Universe.
actor. I liked him. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Ed
I'm
Reed.
sorry.
Mr. Universe, more like Mr. Save the Verse. That wasn't
I'm
worth the
not-
double windup.
I'm not saying that David Krumholtz is bad, Rosie. I just don't care about the character. Like, it's okay. Do you have any?
But
notes you
that's
guys
all.
would like
That's
to
all I.
share
That's
before we get
all
to
I had
the
for
segment?
notes. Oh, other than now, River is known as Chewy.
Right.
So that's cool. I like
I
that
don't know why.
That's
but
it?
Okay.
because she's
Oh,
the
'cause she's the
co-pilot
co-pilot.
now.
No, she's kind of the pilot though. Like she's not co-piloting; she's piloting. Mal took his hands
Okay.
off the console.
Yeah,
Rona,
Han
anything
takes his hands
about
off the
me-
console all the time, and Chewie flies the ship. All right.
Rona, if you know anything
on.
about me, it's that I'm always numbered, and that's how I prefer it. So we're good. If you guys don't have any other notes that you'd like to get to before the segments, let's go ahead and do our first segment, which, just like every other week, is going to be Simon Says. As always, this is where we talk about our favorite quotes, even if they weren't uttered by Dr. Simon Tam. And my brother is siding with non-family related reasons, so I deeply appreciate that. This week we're going to have Josh and Kylie go first, of course, for time Simon Says, and then Ricky D will go, and then I will go last. You guys, of course, if you have more than one you'd like to throw out this time, go for it. I mean, what's the harm?
Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
Yes, so mine, and I wrote down a lot of lines actually to pick from, which was kind of good. But mine is, I am a leaf on the wind, watch how I soar.
yeah.
The last thing he ever says, which was the most upsetting thing in the world, because I was like,
Leaf
yes,
on the
that's my
wind.
favorite. What?
I know
Like-
that's yeah, I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it happened too. Is he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna write that down," like,
Yeah.
exactly how it
And
went
just
down.
instant rage, because I was like, that was such a cool line, and they ruined it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Slash made it more memorable. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Um, my favorite quote. There was a lot of pretty like cool, influential kind of quotes here. But I gotta say that my favorite part is when freaking Jane was going around and checking everybody's seatbelts as like, the ship was crashing, like just making sure everybody was buckled like they're
Yeah.
in a ride. I thought that was cute. That was my favorite. And it also kind of like, redeems Jane a little bit for me after, the betrayal of the season and stuff like that. Like I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Jane cares enough to make sure everybody's like, check, check, check." Like I thought that was awesome. That was my favorite.
Little brother, if it makes you feel any better, I have all three of these people on record as saying hate pretty people. So take that as, what you need. Ricky D, did you have any selections for Simon Says this week? Or
Yeah,
Josh
I've
and
got a
Kylie, do you have
couple
any
of
more?
them.
Did we cut you off, or do you guys have more?
I had another one also from my man Wash. This is why I'm so pissed off. But the other one where he says, start with the part where Jane got knocked out by a 90-pound girl because that never gets old. Also hilarious.
His little quips were awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and my actual, and this is the first ever Simon Says from me that's actually
Simon.
something that Simon says. And it's okay to leave them to die. I really like that one too. But that's was that? Nope. One more, and this one's from Jane. We're gonna explode? I don't want to explode. Just typical Jane right there. Typical Jane.
Is Jane dumb?
Yeah.
Also, Jane, when they were talking about River's code word, when she started repeating it, Jane like covered his ears, like everybody was gonna get turned off or something.
That was my is Jane dumb moment right there. For sure.
Go
But
ahead.
that's all I
so-
got.
What was your? I
Yeah,
know Ricky D
uh,
has more than that.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple. The first one I'm going to throw out actually came out of the commentary. It was near the end of the movie after everything was kind of winding down, and Joss Whedon threw out this little gem. He said, "The reason I make these things is not to make things people like. It is only to make things that people love." I thought that was a cool quote. There was a lot of, it was a really family style commentary with Mal and Jane and River and Joss Whedon. I think that was everybody, but there was a lot of family talk, and I really liked that quote from him. I also got to go with every Goram heist, he starts shouting my name.
Wow.
Because Mal was down in that bank pit and Jane just
Yeah.
started screaming his name.
Yeah. Every bank heist. And that's got to be a callback too. I bet if we went and watched some of the older episodes, there would be some heists where Jane's just screaming Mal.
Probably. From the operative, half of writing history is hiding the truth.
Mm.
That was a really good one.
Painfully truthful. Yes.
Yep.
And the last one was Mal during that fight with the operative. The operative asked him, "Do you know what your sin is, Mal?" And Mal goes, "Oh, hell, I'm a fan of all 7. But right now, I'm going to go with Wrath."
Yeah.
So
That was
I think
cool.
I got out everything I needed to.
God, and that
Okay.
punch to that guy's throat was awesome.
Mel got hit in the 6 times. Like he's got a real
Mal's
he's got a-
used to getting
strong
hit.
throat.
The operative
Yes.
is not.
Right, and that's
That's
what I was
true.
saying earlier. We've seen Mal take a beating to the point where he literally dies and then gets up and starts spitting one-liners, which he did. So for me, I don't know if they're all like super obvious. I mean, obviously we may experience some slight turbulence and then explode. I love that line. It fits so well in so many situations in regular life, even like, hey, what's the plan? Don't really have one. We're just gonna see what happens and we're gonna try to make the best of it. So I feel like that applies, to those kinds of situations and sort of to our show here. Um, the other one that I wrote down was Zoe saying, "You want to leave this room right now," because
Yep.
she had the most menacing look of any of the menacing looks in the movie when she said that, in my opinion. And it was just, you fully understand the connection right there between Zoe and Mal and what the order of operations is on this ship and the chain of command. So I really, really love that. And then, of course, I had to end it with "Love keeps her in the air when she ought to fall down," because that's definitely, I mean, that's the most emblematic thing about our show. I've said about our show before. We making a weekly live podcast that releases 2 days later is not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of effort and time and pain and energy, and there are times when it would be a lot easier to just fall down and say, you know what, it's done. Like it's there. Be done with it. But love keeps us in the air. Um, we've got love pouring in so many channels. It blows my mind. We've got people on Instagram and Twitter and our website and YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. There's people everywhere listening to us and coming along with us for this rewatch. It's mind blowing to me. I mean, we talked about the first 100 days we hit 1,000 listens, and it was like none of us were expecting that. We didn't expect that. We didn't expect to get to talk to Adam Baldwin from Firefly. Like none of what has happened here happens without love. So I really feel like Love Keeps Her in the Air when she ought to fall down is my pick for Sudden but Inevitable. Not my pick for Firefly or Serenity or anything like that, but that's my pick for Sudden but Inevitable. Um, with that, now I know Josh and Kylie are feeling emotional, I get that. And there's a lot of, to Kylie's points, there was like a lot of blue uh toned scenes in the movie, and then of course that planet at the end with the overexposure and everything was very, very white, and it was like I really felt like I was in the character shoes there, because as I looked around I was like, man, everything here is so shiny, Ricky D.
How shiny is it?
I was on top of that one. I knew that one was coming.
You know that I
I
hey, it
just
only
like,
took you the whole
laugh snorted.
show to be on top of it. Not bad. I would like to tell you how shiny this is for me, but I can't do it because it doesn't really matter how shiny it is for me. This particular rating is about Josh and Kylie. Like everybody knows that Ricky D and I have seen the series and the movie and that we like it. Because otherwise, why would we have drugged Josh and Kylie through this? So I don't even really feel like giving my rating for the movie, if that's okay with you guys. But I would love to hear, Josh and Kylie, if you rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, how shiny is it for you?
I really wanted to know your guys' rating but
I'll go last.
but that's fine. No, you guys didn't rate it a 10, right? I'm not about to ruin
go
a perfect
last.
10, am I? Because I'm about to ruin
I'll
a
go
perfect 10.
last.
No, I'm just kidding. This movie was not a 10 for me. It was actually a 9. I would rate it a 9 minus 2 points because they killed Wash, and that was the stupidest decision they could have ever made for this movie. So I'm rating it a 7. Um, that's where I landed on this. I had a lot of fun with it. Yes, it was a great introduction for new people to bring new people into the verse, but I feel like for someone that you know worshipped the season or the series and watched the series a lot, it did them a huge injustice and a disservice, even more so, to kill off one of the best characters from that series as just a giant middle finger. Um, so yeah, again, the movie was fun, and I loved watching Raging River beat everybody's ass the whole movie. I liked the flying parts with Wash. Again, favorite parts of all this movie was pretty much with Wash. Like when he's
He didn't look as awkward as he did
no, exactly.
earlier in the season when he was flying.
Right. And then going through all the ships, the effects were incredible for a movie made in 2005. I mean, it was good, but again, there was some pointless things that got to take it down to a 7 for me. Kylie, what would you rate it?
So I was going back and forth between a 7 and an 8, because there were a couple things, as you mentioned, that I was kind of disappointed in. But then I'm kind of going through my pre-movie bullet points that I would have liked to see. And honestly, kind of hit all of them, so I can't really be too upset. So my first one didn't hit fully, which was that Mal better kiss Inara. Well, obviously that didn't happen,
Womp womp.
but we did kind of, open up the playing field to a relationship. You know what I mean? If there was a season 2, you probably would have seen some development there. But anywho, so
All he
I'm
has
I'm
to
gonna
do
give
is
that
pay.
yeah. No, she said that no, even if he did want to pay, she said she wouldn't even do it.
That
But
was like one of the stipulations when
anywho,
she first got on the ship, right?
exactly, yes. So I'm gonna give that half a point. But I said Simon better kiss Kaylee at least, but they did a little bit more. So I was happy with that. That's a good solid point. I said I wanted Reavers. That's a good solid point. I wanted some sort of answers with River. Which I don't know if we have all the answers,
We
but it
got
was kind of cool to see.
yeah.
Really just a solid yep, you're right all along. She's got these kinds of things going on, and this is what she can do. She's badass.
And they didn't mention 2x2 Hands of Blue. They didn't do anything
They
about that.
totally didn't do
It
that.
was
No.
just about the Hands of Blue sending the assassin to get her. Is
Yeah.
basically what it was.
So that was cool. And then my last one was, and this one did not get answered at all. But I wanted to know who Shepard was really.
Yep.
And they didn't. They touched on it, saying, hey, I'm not going to tell you. I don't have to tell you anything.
Yeah.
That's not important, kind of stuff.
Another FU to the fans. When are you gonna
Yeah.
tell me that story? Yeah, I'm not.
Exactly. And so I didn't get to see that. So I think though, because I got 3 out of the 5, and then the half point with Mal better Kisanara because it did develop some sort of kind of. I'm gonna go with an 8. 8 out of 10.
All right.
All
Yeah.
right, Ricky D from Best Flicks with Ricky D. What do you got, man?
It sounds like we're on the same page for the most part so far. I also went with 8 out of 10. I feel like we've been a little focused on a lot of the problems with the film, and that's what we're doing. We're being very, we're tearing it apart and we're looking at all the little microscopic details. But despite all of the flaws that the film had, it was really good. I think it performed a service to the fans by closing up a lot of open storylines. It wasn't perfect, but I think 8 out of 10 is pretty good.
I agree. I think 8 out of 10 is significantly above average, right? Like you wouldn't call an average movie a 7 out of 10. I'd call an average movie like a 5 out of 10.
Yes,
Um,
and the only thing that's kind of getting me to say that is just the sky high expectations from the Firefly series makes you kind of want more than an 8 out of 10, but also that's a little bit ridiculous to want to be gunning for more than 8 out of 10. That's a really good score.
yeah. Um, I put it at an 8 as well, just because I do have a lot of fun with it. If you watch it as a self-contained story, it's actually pretty good. Like, if this is the whole verse, as far as you know, it's a great self-contained story about one believer versus a believer. Um, but yes, Josh, to Rosie's point, there is a graphic novel called The Shepherd's Tale that goes into a little bit of Book's backstory. Most of the graphic novels and
I
comics,
gotta check it out.
I believe they have direct involvement with Joss Whedon. So they're, the original creator is there. But here's a quick thing. Inara um, strongly hinted at, and I believe Joss has said that she was meant to have a terminal illness, and that's why she was considering leaving the ship at the end of the season. She didn't want to be there when she died, and she didn't want to bring everybody through that pain. And if you watch the first season with that lens, there's some interesting moments where it's like, oh, that would fit perfectly right there.
Whoa.
So yeah,
Mm.
I mean, some of that stuff is speculation. Some of it's stuff that has been commented on. Most of what takes place in
Sure.
the comic books and the graphic novels actually takes place after the movie. So there is a
Okay.
continuation
Okay.
of the story, so to speak. It's not the same kind of a thing. Um, I I'm interested in reading it just for the sake of reading it, but I don't think I need it. Um, for my enjoyment of the thing. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
read it because I like the thing, but I don't think it will necessarily increase or decrease my enjoyment of it. It will just be another part of the thing for me. Um, but yeah, if overall I give the movie an 8. Very fun, definitely tropey and hit with some stuff. But I just, I liked it. I liked it enough to do a freaking show about it, and I liked it as enough when I was younger to look back into the series. So I had a lot of fun with it, and I have to give it an 8. So that puts us at 31 out of 40, which is a 0.775, which is
Wow.
7.75% out of 10 on how shiny is it scale. So I think we're about to do this part of the show where we avoid coming to the end of the show. So,
Yeah.
would you like to kick that off?
I would like to answer Rona's question about given the actors hadn't signed for the follow-ups, how would you have written them out in a satisfactory way? I would like to answer that in the form of an actual podcast one day, when we do another sudden but inevitable callback. Maybe write our own Firefly movie, because I have some ideas, but I don't think we could hash them all out in the next 30 seconds.
Sure.
But I think that'd be fun to have like
Josh is good at that stuff.
a round table and just make a movie about those characters. And I would retcon it, and Wash would be alive. I don't give a shit what Joss Whedon says. He'd be a robot. He'd be like Cyborg. That's kind of what they do there. They bring him back.
Hey, you know what?
It's the future, right?
I'm not gonna.
They've already been
Comment.
doing Cyborg and Injustice, so
Well, and I'm not gonna comment on what I would do because I think it's actually the storyline of one of the comics. So I'm not gonna mention it because I think it's probably the best idea of what to do with the characters. But
Yeah.
Ricky D, other than killing them all, did you have an idea?
Honestly, I would probably do something just really terrible. I would make Zoe and Wash get divorced. I would have Kaylee and Simon just let's go with like 5 kids pre-marriage.
Oh my God. Just a bunch of
Like,
younglings running around Serenity.
yeah, I would just
Now
if
just
I was gonna write this
River develops a drug
story-
habit.
yeah, there, nailed it. That's exactly the kind of stuff that I would write up.
oh my God.
Oh, that's terrible.
Simon
See,
resurrects
mine would
Wash
be like
Frankenstein
a
style.
romance novel. I feel like everybody in the chat here would want to read what Kylie had to
Yeah,
say
a
about
Kylie
Firefly.
smut novel. Yeah, of course. And then Kaylee looked down at Simon's chest.
And then Kaylee.
She could see the bullet scar.
The bullet scar.
Took her back to that night.
I like Saxon's idea. Bring back Firefly, ignoring the movie. I could see a lot of fans agreeing with that.
And you know, we did have that conversation with Adam about maybe doing a cartoon version of it. And he said, "You never know." So I mean, it'd be, yeah, get rid of that movie.
He said, "Sounds like a no-brainer to him," is what he said.
Yeah, like, and it sounded like he would be signed up for it. It just depends on who else would do it. Who do you think wouldn't sign up for that? It'd be Nathan. That'd be my assumption.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's.
I reckon we move past these parts, don't you think, Joss?
It's. I don't know. Well, Joss would be involved. First of all.
No, I know.
Like,
I
but second of all,
Look.
yeah, it's so hard to speculate because like he's on a very popular show right now. And maybe just the stigma around Whedon right now would be something that I don't want to be associated with. I don't know. It's difficult to tell. And the other point that he brought up was that the show, I believe what he said was the show sort of sit there like a perfect little Camelot of a thing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
why risk going back and screwing it up? And I think that's a brilliant, brilliant point from our friend Adam Baldwin.
I would agree with that. It would be kind of cool to even go back to the verse, even if it's just one character, even if it's just like, Jane and Zoe on a different ship or something. They left Serenity together to go to a different ship. Like, it'd be a crazy dynamic
After
to have
Jane
those
killed
two.
Wash and took Zoe as his bride.
But,
Oh my god.
Firefly, because there's no way Zoe's going somewhere without Mal.
Well, that's the thing is, that's the thing that would make it interesting is why would she? Like, there would have to be some sort of reason that she would go with him, and I think that'd be a fun team up.
They'd have to go be rescuing Mal.
No, Jane kills Wash and takes Zoe as his bride.
No, Wash is not dead,
and
Ricky.
And Zoe's like, "Oh, Jane!" Right? Is that how this happened?
My hero. You saved me from a sudden but inevitable monster. All right, I'm done. I'm done.
I don't think we doubt that would return if they were given the opportunity. What I'm doing is that the correct opportunity will ever be presented. Personally,
yeah, for sure.
That's how I feel about it. So
yeah.
Josh, do you have any shout outs this week?
Oh my god, I forgot to write these down. I do. Ricky, go first.
No, I'm good.
What the Jesse, go first.
My shout outs this week are not ultra specific. Outside of the people that we've already spoken about, our Shepherd Shine, Saxon, Rosie, Callie, The Rock, Pixie from Next on Stage 1, Pop Deluxe, Cap DK, everybody that has been, kind of there with us from the start. It's just, I can't thank you all enough. I mean, this has, like Ricky D always says, this has been the best part of the week for a lot of weeks now. So it's weird to be at the end of it. It's okay, but it's different. So I don't know that I have any specific, accounts to go follow. I will say if you need something to listen to in the meantime, you could check out Cheap Seat Reviews, or you could check out Green Shirt, a newbie's trek through the next generation, or you could check out It's a Fandom Thing Pod, or you could check out Bedwetter Behead, or you could go to patreon.com/spatial anomaly and read some of David Black's work, or you could go to heartlandshorts.com and read some of Jake's work. There's a lot of stuff and a lot of really cool people in our expanded family now. Measuring the Score podcast. There's so many. It goes down in the PM. Like I every time I think I've got them all, there's more. So if you follow me on Twitter @SuddenButt, check out some of the shows that I follow, because I only follow shows that are good and that are made by good people. So you should definitely check those out. And if you follow me on Instagram at Sunbiteable Podcast, let me first say I apologize for my lax activity there in the last couple of weeks. It's difficult to keep up with the show. Trust me. Everything is there. Everything is functioning. So thank you for bearing with me there. And other than that, I would say the only thing that I really can ask you to do before the rest of my crew speak is follow my crew. Follow Ricky D at BestFlix Ricky D. Follow Josh at Twist My Arm Cast. Follow Kylie at Miss My Arm Cast. And that having been said, I am going to turn it over to Josh for his shout outs this week.
Yeah, I wanted to shout out Cameron from Green Shirt again. Thank him for coming on the Twist My Arm show last night and interviewing with Jesse and I. I'm excited to have that show hit the interwebs next Thursday. I also wanted to give a big shout out to Yeti Yef. He's been giving us a lot of big bumps out in the Twitter world. Letters to Media has been a pretty big share as well, and pretty much just anyone. I have jumped up in followers, and it's really cool to see more people and get, and meet more people. I've jumped from 213 followers to 282 followers in the last week and a half, and that's crazy. So, and not only that, but then the subscribers on YouTube, it's incredible seeing the amount of support that we're getting, and I can't thank everyone enough. If I could name off every single person by name, I would, and I wish I could, but that's why we do these, and I do a lot of shout outs on Marvel Canon Madness and Quest Me and the TMA shows. So if you don't hear it on this show, it's probably floating around on the network somewhere else. I also want to give a huge shout out to anyone that's already signed up for TMA PodCon 2021. This is a huge thing for us to be putting on a little podcast convention / workshop thing. I'm extremely excited about it, and I'm even more excited to see people taking to it and interested in it and wanting to be a part of it. So if you would like to have any more information about the TMA PodCon, head over to twistmyarmpodcast.com /TMA PodCon 2021, and you can find all the information there, and you can sign up. There's a little sign up sheet there where if you want to be a part of this, you give us your name, your email, and if you would like to speak on something, or if you would like to just be there to listen. Give us all that information, and we'll get back to you as soon as we get the information. I believe we're planning this for August, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Jesse? Am I right in thinking that?
That is as close to correct as either of us can be on it, as far as I'm aware.
And that's kind of where we're at. Like, August is the tentative month. We don't have even a date. That's the tentative month right now that we have. So I'm super excited about that.
I want to. Saxon asked about the Done the Impossible documentary. Do we have official plans for that as sudden but inevitable?
So we do have, well, we have official plans in the capacity of we're going to do it.
Okay.
Well, specifically, so it features Rosie and Saxon, and it tells the story of how the fans helped get the movie made. So we are going to watch it. The only thing that we haven't figured out yet is when. We
Sure.
may end up dropping it sort of in between seasons, or maybe kind of our first bonus for the next season. But it's 100% honest with you guys. I have to take a break. Like this
Yeah.
season of the show has to
Well,
be over. Like
I might have.
Go ahead.
Oh, I might have some ideas and solutions for this. I've been having a lot of ideas for Best Flicks with Ricky D, and I'm just doing my podcast once a week, that kind of thing. But I'm going slow for the moment, but I do want to ramp things up. Jesse and Josh, you guys are like sprinting with this podcast thing, and I'm still trying to learn it. But I definitely want to do a Dr. Horrible sing-along blog watch party, and we could also do something with with Done the Impossible and incorporate that with Best Flicks, and maybe we do that, something like what we're doing here, but
I would
through my
love
thing.
to actually be with Ricky D from Best Flicks with Ricky D on Best Flicks with Ricky D. I think that would be really cool.
Am I the first one to be on there, or did you have any other guests on there?
I
Best
had one of my
Flicks?
buddies
Moltar
from
was first.
college.
I'm kidding.
Okay. And yeah, I guess technically Moltar was first, but I'm not Ricky D.
I
I'm
was
not
there.
Best Flicks.
But to Ricky's point, yeah, we're sprinting. Like, I'll be putting this show out on Friday and then editing it all and having it ready to go Monday morning is physically actually killing me. So having a break is going to be hugely beneficial to, I think, the quality of the show and the quality of the stuff that we do going forward. So yes, please, Shepherd Rosie, please rest assured we are definitely going to watch Done the Impossible. And here's the thing, you guys. Even if there are no episodes of Sudden But Inevitable dropping every week, I'm still going to be all over your social medias telling you to go listen to old episodes and asking what you want to see in the new episodes and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be around. There just won't be episodes for a month and a half or two. So don't worry. Nobody's going anywhere. It's just that we're not going to be making this show for a couple of weeks. And I think that's the hardest part about this episode for me, right? Is knowing that we are gonna, when we do sign off, it's gonna be a minute before we get back here this way. So it's kind of starting to sink in, like it didn't really sink in to me that we were talking to Adam Baldwin until he signed off, and then we freaked out. I was like, you guys, that was Adam Baldwin. And I think the same thing is happening now where I'm sort of realizing, yeah, we're about 2.5 hours. There's not much left to talk about. This is getting to be the end of this episode, and that's kind of starting to sink in, and it feels a little weird.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, man. It's been since January we started this thing, and it is definitely going to be good to take a break. Um, I I will not be taking a break. I will still be going full steam ahead with QuestMe, MCM, and TMA. But it is nice to have a break from my Friday nights. I can go and see some music. Kylie can have some open days. She doesn't have to commit all of her. She's just so famous. She has
I can
so many
watch
people that
movies with
want
my
her all
dog.
the time. So she's got to go out and be with her people on Friday
Yes.
nights. So
My fans.
um and it is very bittersweet though, because this has been such a fun time. It's been such a nice. It's been such a good not even just experience, but learning experience. I've learned a lot from this place. I've met so many new people, and it is hard to sign off for the last time. But all good things do come to an end. Except for Wash, he has not ended. And I'm excited to get to the sudden but inevitable rebop. I know Kylie is especially. She talks about it all the time. Oh my god, what I need to get in touch with Jesse. We need to make our own chat, and we need to start planning this thing out, because I'm just so excited to get. When are we recording the theme song, Josh? We need to do this. So I know that Kylie is extra. I'm trying to figure out a way to set her up with her own room so she can be next to you and Ricky, and I can be on the bottom while you guys host. But that probably won't happen. So I am excited to go on to new grounds and see where this takes us, for sure, because it's been a lot of fun.
Ricky D from Best Flicks with Ricky D. Have you got anything you'd like to say to the folks before we get out of their hair?
I just want to thank all of you guys. This podcasting that I've been doing as part of Sudden But Inevitable and starting my own Best Looks with Ricky D is probably one of the best things I've got going in my life right now. It's been extremely positive for me on a social level, on a, just I'm not quite sure what to say, but thank you guys. Thank Jesse. Thank Josh. Thanks Kylie. Thanks Saxon. Thanks Rosie. Thanks Rona. Thanks Callie. Everybody in the chat. Like this is, I know I say it's the best part of my week every week, but it extends beyond that because this is a generally beneficial place for me to be right now. And thank you all for being so supportive as I learn to do this.
Callie D in the chat. You got me crying, so go ahead and check off your bingo card.
Kylie,
Ricky,
did you have
I gotta
anything
tell
else that you
you.
wanted to say? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, trust me, we're gonna be going
Okay.
to Kylie because Wiley Kylie. Trust me. I just wanted to say for my part, Ricky D, as a person who was literally there the first time you did a podcast, and a person who has been there for your most recent podcast, you have really just blown it out of the water, man. Like you know that there are people in our orbit where we're like, okay, here, make this podcast, and they go, great, and we go, here's the tools, and then they don't do it, and that's really frustrating. And it's to see people decide, you know what, effort isn't really something I feel like now. Really, really just my hide. So to see you do the exact opposite of that at every single possible juncture of your podcast journey, it really does fill my heart kind of the same way my heart gets full when I see our numbers and our people in our live chat. It's just like this guy, he started with basically zero experience, and now he's got his own podcast that comes out every week, and he kicks ass on my show constantly. He's been on other shows. He was great on Cheap Seat. Like I'm Ricky D from Best Flicks with Ricky D. You are amazing. And I am so happy to have you aboard for this and to have you as part of the network. And I can't wait to bring you with to TMA PodCon 21. And
Yeah,
before we
absolutely. To further that point too, the amount of people that have come and gone in this network, it's incredible to have people that are actually like going for it. You know, like Jesse was saying, that they've not that anyone has been like crazy awful or anything, but like there is a certain, it takes a certain kind of person
It's hard work.
to dedicate themselves to this, and I really appreciate the work that you've done on this network, on SBI, on Best Flicks, on everything, man. It's huge, and it's been great to see you grow as a podcaster. So
I could never have done it alone. So thank you guys.
Kylie, do you have anything else that you want to say? We've been doing this for a half hour now.
Well, thanks guys for the opportunity. I know I think everybody summed it up pretty nicely. We have kind of shouted out everybody probably by name at this point. I just want to kind of shout out, I guess, the ladies in the chat and those who listen and
Woo!
encourage me to be the best I can be and encourage me to get Twitter and all that stuff.
We kind of forced you into that.
I don't know. I mean, there's a certain lady on our chat who kind of inspired me.
Okay, all right.
But no, it's been a lot of fun, and I think that it wouldn't have been as much fun for me if I didn't have a lot of the support that I did from our special ladies. So I really, really do hope. I know, so we have kind of chatted about anime before, and some of the girls have given me encouragement. But again, as always, as I've mentioned before, I really hope that we have our friends come join the next adventure with us, because it's going to be a lot of fun. And Kylie will be hosting, so that'll be a whole brand new kind of chapter. And please come with us. It's going to be a great
Please
time.
hang out with us.
We have a small intermission, but it'll be worth the wait. So
Absolutely.
Alright,
And
you
that's it
guys.
for me. I'm done.
If that's, I mean, way to put the pressure on. Um, we don't have, like, we've never done a season finale before. We've never had a show that had people that cared that we were doing a finale. So we're not used to this. I didn't write for this. But to rely, as I always do, just on the emotion of the thing, like I feel very loved through this show, and I have come across a lot of opportunities to share some of that love. and I didn't think that a Firefly podcast would change how I go about my days, but it has. So I just want to thank Ricky D from Best Flicks with Ricky D and Josh from Twist My Arm and Kylie from the Sudden But Inevitable Rebop for sticking up with me and being the crew that I needed to get through this this fun, painful, ridiculously cool, badass sci-fi space western. And I'm really glad that I got to go through it with you guys. And I'm really glad that all these wonderful, beautiful brown coats have joined us for this journey. And I can't wait to take the next step, you guys. So I think we are going to have to leave it there because otherwise we could go on and on. And some of us have overtime tomorrow. So those of you that are here, send me your files immediately. And with that, Josh, if you don't mind, one more time, take us out of the world.